And a very good afternoon to you, and welcome to McDonagh Park here in Neenah, County Tipperary, for this round of the All-Ireland Senior Camogie Championship. It, of course, is the Group 1 clash between Tipperary and Limerick, and it's the only game that's Senior Camogie on this afternoon, so hopefully you are tuned in and watching, because this is a game that could get tasty enough with regards to the Munster rivalry that takes place between these two across the years. My name is Killian Whelan, bringing you the best of the action over the next 2 hours, and joining me on commentary duty will of course be Elaine Aylward. Good afternoon to you again, Elaine.
Hi Killian, another fantastic day.
Another fantastic day, and we're here in Neenah for I suppose a different venue for Tipperary Camogie, as the ride continues to be upgraded in its ways with its pitch and everything, but still good surface of grass here and so forth, and it should be a right game.
Yeah, super day for Camogie, and you said super surface and pitch in great condition, so teed up to be a perfect game. And look, a big game for Limerick. I suppose they need a win here today to keep their championship hopes alive, so they'll be coming with real vigour, so I expect a real close encounter. I
suppose us as neutrals and everything, we would like probably a Limerick win, because it would keep this group interesting, because everything else has been effectively sorted out. We know the top two in groups 2 and 3, and we know the bottom two in those groups as well. So, you know, a win here would probably put the cat amongst the pigeons a little bit for Limerick.
Yeah, it certainly would. It'd open up that group again and make next weekend's encounters very interesting. You know, Wexford obviously have their 2 victories, and Limerick will feel a small bit hard done by, I suppose, that they left that victory behind them maybe last week with that last minute goal from Wexford. So look, they really need a win here today, and as you said, that would then obviously throw the group wide open again, and we'd be in for some tasty encounters next weekend.
But it's going to be very hard to see, because we reckon this Tipperary side, you know, in a rich vein of form, started, you know, very, very well last week. Orlo Dwyer having a masterful display, and, you know, you'd imagine it should be nothing else but a Tipperary victory.
Yeah, on paper, I suppose Tip are the form team. You know, they went the furthest maybe in the league, and unlucky not to be in a league final. They really should have beaten Kilkenny in the league semi-final. They didn't, I suppose, regrouped, didn't have a particularly fantastic Munster campaign or anything like that, but certainly hit the ground running last weekend, and as you said, 3-3 from the returning Orlo Dwyer, so certainly seem to be in a rich vein of form, and Bill will be hoping they can carry that into the Limerick game today.
And at different stages have been hit with the odd injury here or there that you could kind of say might threaten to derail them a little bit, but they seem to bounce back again, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and they do have a strong panel, you know, and I saw Bill here earlier maybe talking to a couple of the girls saying, you know, the warm day that they will be called on during the day, and they do have that depth in talent. You know, at different occasions they've been able to run the bench when they've been ahead in games, and really the subs that have come in have made equal an impact as the girls that started, so, you know, that's a huge plus for Tipperary.
Go back to Limerick though, they are a side as well that, you know, I suppose as we feel for an observer of Camogie, that we're thankful to see them on a bit of an upward kind of swing in their fortunes, so forth. So maybe, you know, to see and maybe to reflect on Limerick and how maybe this year has gone for them, you'd like them to be competitive here today and probably take this game too.
Yeah, and I mean, when you see what they did to Kilkenny in that league quarter final in Bar earlier in the year, they certainly have the players to do it and have the talent, and look that day to have the belief. Alright, they haven't reached that high again yet, maybe in a disappointing Munster campaign for them, and obviously a defeat last weekend which will have been a real downer for them, but I still think they're probably capable. You know, they have the talent all over the field to put it up to any of the strong teams, and they showed that against Kilkenny in the league quarter final, so they'll need to find that form again today to trouble Tip, I think.
Yeah, because you look down through that Limerick team, and it's names again that definitely stand out, that you would see again challenging for panel positions or starting positions on any team in the country. I'm thinking Laura O'Neill, fine goalkeeper, Murren Kramer, Judith Mulcahy, Karen O'Leary, Rebecca DeLee, and the 2 Cuivas in the forwards. You know, they would, as I said, make any other team.
Yeah, they have a really strong and established, you know, centre of the spine, I suppose, all the way out from goal right up to full forward. And as you said, the 2 Cuivas, wherever they line out in the forwards, are 2 score getters up front for them. You know, really formidable midfield as well. So they have the players all over the field. Obviously, it's been no secret that things haven't been going great in Limerick the last couple of years, but look, with Pat Ryan at the helm now, they look to have put that well behind them. And as I said, that performance they put in against Kilkenny in the league quarter final, they deserved the victory that day. Alright, they didn't get it, but they were severely disappointed not to get it, so they obviously have ambitions, and as I said, they would have taken a bit of a dent last weekend, but I expect them to bounce back here today, and if they can bring a performance like they did in that league quarter final, they certainly will trouble Tipperary.
Back to Tipperary then, and you know, a side that a lot of us reckon are not too far away from the top 3. They need to get through that glass ceiling though. They had their opportunity in that league semi-final, didn't take it. If they're to continue the momentum that we feel that they can break through, these games are not formalities in a way, but they need to be putting away Limerick and advancing on, don't they?
Yeah, to really establish themselves, I suppose, with the top three of Kilkenny, Galway and Cork, they really do need to start, I suppose, being hot favourites in these games, living up to that, putting these teams to bed, and then look for the bigger challenge. And as you said, I think really to be talked about in the top three and to break that glass ceiling, they do need to take one of the bigger names. And look, today's obviously objective will be to get the win here today, then to get another win next weekend, top the group, and then see how they draw in a quarter final or a semi final. But really, for Tipperary to be established at that top table, they really do need to beat a Galway, a Cork, or a Kilkenny, I think, really to just establish themselves. And I think it'll give them a great boost when they do it. As I said, they have the talent to do it. They've been so close on occasions, but they just haven't made that final step up. And I think when they do, I think Tipperary Camogie will be around to stay for a while.
So Tipperary by a few points for you?
Yeah, I think it has just the experience maybe of the last couple of years being at the knockout stages of the championship. I think it'll just be a bridge too far for Limerick today.
Okay, the views of Elaine Aylward as the teams get ready to come out here, further warm up ahead of throw-in. It gets underway at 2 o'clock. Justin Heffernan is the man in the middle for this clash. It promises to be a tasty enough Munster encounter, and rejoin us shortly when we hear from both camps. Limerick manager Pat Ryan. Pat, glorious day here in Nina, looking to bounce back from last week's disappointment, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was a hard defeat to take last week, and Wexford winning again yesterday. Look, it was, what can we do? Look, that's sport. Sometimes we have to move on from it,
Yeah, but you don't have a whole lot of time to move on. Is that a good thing in a way, like, that you can put it to bed now and get out here and maybe get, take this game to Tipperary and, bounce back from that? Do you appreciate the short time, or is it too short?
Look, you might as well get on with it. There's no point feeling sorry for yourself. Look, it's knockout hurling today. There's no second chances for today. We just have to give it our best shot. I mean, look, Tape had a great win against Offaly. We know what we're up against, but look, just have to go for it. It's knockout.
And that, I would imagine, is a message you've got through to the girls already here this afternoon?
Yeah, they know themselves. They put a lot of work in, and the season, you don't want the season to end this early, so the girls know what's on the line today.
Looking at it from last week, do you feel it's a game that you left behind? Maybe did you leave Wexford in the game too long that then you just got caught on the line?
Yeah, look, we had the COVID incident as well coming up to the game, missing a few players and all that didn't help. Probably should have closed the game out a bit earlier, but Wexford had a few goal chances, to be fair. So, look, probably a draw might have been the fairest result on today.
Looking at it though, Pat, this side seems to be fairly settled, maybe in comparison to the last couple of years. Do you feel that maybe now is a time to be using a bar against these teams? Tip would obviously be considered maybe in the top 3 or 4. Do you think, as you said, putting a challenge to the girls here today now to just have a crack at it?
Well, that's it. Look, someday Limerick have to beat one of the top 4. It has to happen someday for belief. That's the big thing. So, look, that's the challenge in front of them. But, they have to go for it, and the belief would build in from that. I think a team like Limerick needs to take one of the big 4.
And keep this group interesting till next week.
That's it, yeah. Massive game against Offaly next week, and our juniors are out against Cavan today and Bruff as well, so it's a massive day today for us.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, Pat.
Thanks, man, lads.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Bill Mullaney, Tipperary manager. A glorious day here in Nina, Bill, and a perfect championship feel about it.
Yeah, there is great conditions here, warm again. A bit small but cooler than it was during the week. Great field, great conditions. As I say, it's a perfect day for hurling.
Looking at things, Bill, you bounced back very well from league and maybe the Munster final defeat with a fine win last weekend, hoping to keep that momentum going now again.
Yeah, well, we have to. There's no breaks for these 3 weeks. We have to show up. We have to do the job again, like we did against Offaly. Hopefully, we'll come out and do it today. But you're probably going to ask me anyway. Limerick are a huge opposition here. If you draw a line through the form against Kilkenny, there's only 2 or 3 points between us and Kilkenny on the day. So that puts a line very little between us and Limerick. We have to show up. We have to play well to win it. Yeah,
and that was going to be my question to you on home turf and everything like that. You can't be taking your eye off the ball here now today.
No, so there's just a championship now. You can't be taking your eye off any ball any time, either on the sideline or on the field itself. You have to be tuned in. You have to be focused. If not, Limerick will take us to the cleaners. You
don't want to probably get involved in a scrap though either. In some ways, Bill, that you have a situation where maybe like Limerick were caught last week just at the end.
Exactly. We don't want to leave it up to the ref or anything else. We want to win it ourselves, just like Limerick want to do as well. So it's up to us to come on the field and give a performance.
We wish you the best of luck, Bill.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. And you're welcome back then to McDonagh Park here in Nenagh for Tipperary and Limerick in this All-Ireland Senior Camogie Championship Group 1 Round 2 encounter. And let's give you the home side then. No changes to both teams, what we've been told. Probably a few positional switches along the way, but we'll start with Tipperary. And it sees Caoimhe Burke of Drummond in goal, Julianne Burke of Borrisalee, Mary Ryan of Moneygall, and Emer Lockman of Clonulty Rossmore. It's a very strong half-back pairing of Mairead Everson of Drummond, Karen Kennedy of Thurles Sarsfields, and Aoife McGrath, the joint captain from Drummond. At centre field, it's Orlo Dwyer of Cashel and Arena Friday of Knockavilla Kickham's. Clodagh McIntyre of Luradura, Roisin Howard of Care, and Nicole Walsh of Borrisalee are the half-forwards. And the full forward line of Emer McGrath of Drummond, Cát Devan, the joint captain of Clonulty Rossmore, and Grace O'Brien of Nenagh. We turn to the visitors then from Limerick. And as you can see them there on screen, Laura O'Neill of Napirsig will be in goal. Mairead Ryan, I should say, of Clooney Quinn. Muireann Kramer of Cappamore and Marion Quaid of Bruff are the full back line. The half backs of Roisin Ambrose of Newcastle West, Judith Mulcahy of Ahan, and Niamh Curtin of Ballybrown. At centre field, it's Sinead McNamara of Napirsig and the returning Karen O'Leary, the captain from Newcastle West. Rebecca DeLee, Newcastle West, Niamh Ryan of Bruff, and Sophia Callan of Adair make up the half forward line, and the full forward line sees the two Cuevas, Costello and Lyons on either side corner, one of Adair, one of Bruff, and sandwich in between is Laura Stack of Milford. That's the Limerick set up then for this encounter. Manager, of course, Pat Ryan. Bill Mullaney is the manager of Tipperary. And Elaine, looking at both sides there, you heard Pat there mention the COVID situation was in the camp. They lost 3 players that would have been vital, you would imagine, last weekend. Lose out by then just a short score there against Wexford. They're back today. And, Tipperary wouldn't want to take their eye off the ball with them, I think.
No, certainly not. 3 big players to be missing, obviously, last weekend, and just the way the fixtures fell. And look, it's the world we live in at the moment. Teams are going to be affected week on week. So, Limerick obviously delighted to have those 3 players back into the mix. And, Karen O'Leary expect her to have a huge game around the middle of the field there, and a huge battle with Orla Dwyer and Arena Friday from Tipperary out around the middle there. So, yeah, it's certainly a game Tip won't be taken for granted, I'm sure. And Bill will have drilled that into the Tipperary girls down there. It's do or die really for both sets of teams, but ultimately, especially for Limerick, they need to get a win here today to keep their championship hopes alive.
As you can see, Tipperary getting into the shade down here underneath the scoreboard that is here in McDonagh Park. And just to let you know that Limerick are in out of the sun as well. Not as warm maybe as last Sunday was. I think it touched around 28 to 30 degrees all around the country. It's about 23, 24 degrees out on the centre of the pitch there today. So a little bit of respite, and not maybe to be too much doom and gloom, but I was told make the most of today, because I think it's going to be the best day we'll have for a while. So anyway, we're here watching the All-Ireland Senior Camogie Championship Group 1 Round 2 encounter. Of course, it's the only game in Senior Championship today, and it ultimately, if Tipperary were to win, and they have a good scoring average against Wexford, they would top the table then ahead of their clash next week, and it would see Limerick and Offaly then battling it out solely to avoid the relegation matters, and we'll talk about that maybe at the end of the game. Justin Heffernan calling both teams to attention. Haven't heard if we will have our national anthem, but it is gone 2 o'clock mark here now, so no delay in getting underway. And before we move on, we better give a shout out to a tough enough cornerback who unfortunately picked up an injury yesterday. St Anne's Sabale Harney, when she was playing for Waterford against Dublin, I believe has picked up we hope not too serious of a knee injury, but she has picked up an injury, and we wish her the best of luck with the scan tomorrow. And Sabale, you're made of tough stuff, so best of luck with the recovery. As we see Limerick go through now their fine little bit of activation exercises, isn't that what they call them now, Elaine, I think?
Bit of sharpening up ahead of battle, I suppose. It's a warm day out there, and I see Tip went through a fairly rigorous warm-up there as well. So, obviously teams looking to get to the pitch of things early, but it is a warm day, and expect plenty of water to be taken on board when given the opportunity, and both managers maybe to try and get fresh legs in coming towards the end of it as the day takes its toll on the players that start. So players getting into position, just wandering out from underneath the shade down there, and it looks like that Tip will be defending the clubhouse end here of McDonagh Park. Glorious sunshine, as you can see. Hope you can pick it up on camera there as we prepare for this encounter.
a bit of an embarrassment of riches as I see Cueva Burke heading down the field. You know, Cueva holding her place there between the sticks, keeping an all-star off the team.
Yeah, you know, it's a huge battle there and it has been going on throughout the league and I suppose into the championship as well. But, you know, what a headache to have for Bill. I suppose 2 top-class goalkeepers and, you know, such an important player in the game these days, you know, not just shot stopping, it's the restarts and it's the restarts and the puck outs and the quick puck outs, especially with that new rule in from a wide ball. So, you know, keepers obviously have a huge part to play in the game and both of those girls keeping one another on their toes.
I've just seen a few positional switches going on already. It's Justin Heffernan gets ready. I'm seeing Orlo Dwyer now playing in the half forward line, maybe just for the throw in here. But game is on anyway under Justin Heffernan and his Tip that are on the breaks. The ball trying to get it there towards O'Dwyer, but Roisin Ambrose got in there and deflected up, but the referee says it was a foul. Roisin, of course, would have lined up with Limerick lady footballers yesterday, as Orla Dwyer did with Tipperary on Friday night. Roisin heard another one, and I think Anya Cunningham in the Limerick bench also would have lined out also. But here's a chance for Cot Devan then, right in front of us here. She's literally 10 yards or thereabouts away from us. Just on the 65. Let's see, was she sneaking in during the week, having pucks at these goalposts as Devan sends this on its way towards that left hand upright. Very tight though, and it's gone to the left and wide.
Yeah, an unusual uncharacteristic wide, I suppose, for Cod. It was from a good bit of distance and it was out on the 65, so, you know, not the easiest to freeze to start off with, but again, something that Limerick will have to be aware of. You can't be giving Cod Devan too many free shots at the goal.
Yeah, a little bit of a breeze coming from the Lough Derg direction, but nothing major. It's enough to keep you a little bit cool, but it's not having a huge impact on flags out there. And the tricolour down to my left hand side is stagnant, as breaking out with this ball is all-star Karen Kennedy, playing it in low. Decent enough ball now, maybe an opportunity here for Tip to get something moving here with Emer McGrath. And McGrath gets in there and was able to give it back to Devan. Devan has the shot, puts it over the bar. And Limerick had that under control, and all of a sudden Devan was on the ball.
Yeah, it looked like a dangerous ball in initially. Emer McGrath on the edge of the square on her own, but just the touch just wasn't quite there. Limerick had the chance to get the danger out of it, but try to caught Devan to get in on the end of it, and no better woman to pop up with a score for Tip and their opening score.
Long clearance from Laura O'Neill, but the ball is directed straight back in. Tip meaning business here straight away, going to pepper this full back line. Ball is lost there and juggled with by Marion Quaid, but she does very well to get this ball out to the middle, but it's Limerick not really reacting to it, and it's Grace O'Brien gets in very well and turns around the house here now to find a pass and give it here to our number 10, Clodagh McIntyre. Clodagh, who got a fine goal, of course, against Waterford in the league. We think about that as Grace has a shot at the post here, but on her home pitch, unfortunately, has pulled that to the left and wide. Tip meaning business here. Yeah,
starting with intent and getting a lot of long ball quick into that full forward line, and Limerick have coped with it so far, but really need to put the sharpeners on Tip out the field, I suppose, and stop that quality ball going in.
This game, of course, McDonagh Park in Nina, as we mentioned earlier on, the RAG still going through a little bit of upgrades there. I imagine it'll be a venue we'll be back to at some point. Maybe not this year, but I'm sure we'll be back in the home of Tipperary Camogie soon. But I'm just thinking of playing here in Nina. It was probably a longer journey for some Tip girls than it is for some of the Limerick girls, as it turns out. But anyway, it's a venue for this Munster rivalry, near neighbours, and Tip have the advantage at the moment. That score from Cot Devan, the ball breaking around the middle here, and here goes O'Dwyer then with 3-3 against Offaly the last day. Orla O'Dwyer in a fine vein of form as she comes back into this Tipperary Camogie setup. Ball knocked in here into the direction of Devan and McGrath. And it's Devan who shortens the grip and plays. What a ball across the field. Look at the control on that as well. Chance here for Tip to get another score. It's dropping in. It's still dangerous. It might work out here. McGrath got a knockdown, but there was no one in there. And again, the accuracy there of Devan to be able to spot that pass across the field. But the ball breaks there off of a Limerick player. And I thought it would have went the other way. There was no one remonstrating though with the linesman. So he obviously closer to it got that call right. And Limerick going to have this sideline cut now with Cueva Costello. Cueva gets a good strike on this down along the wing now, looking for a little bit of movement of Laura Stack, and also Cueva lines inside, and Cueva is the one that drops that ball, giving it to Sophie O'Callaghan, and trying to get in on the break there again. Rebecca DeLee trying to dig in there. Also the Newcastle West player being helped out by Sophie O'Callaghan, but it's Tip that looked like they were going to break up, but the referee says that there was a foul hand pass there, and it's going to be a chance here for, I'd imagine, it might be Caoimhe Costello that would step up on these.
Yeah, good work from Limerick there. Won the possession initially and then had it turned over, but worked hard. A couple of players in around the tip player there and just forced the throw and earned themselves the free.
So about 56 metres out and not too far off the right-hand upright at the clubhouse end here of McDonagh Park. Rebecca DeLee keeping an eye on Ray Evanston, who's just out of shot at the moment as Caoimhe Costello comes up with this strike. Looks like the umpire is heading for the flag there. Good strike to level things up here.
Yeah, great response from Limerick. I suppose that's the first real attack they've had up the field, and as I said, had possession but had it turned over, but did well to earn the free.
Bit of a heavy knock there to Tipson worth 13. Emer McGrath out there in the middle in front of Justin Heffernan, but he's quite happy with it. Linesman not overly happy when the backroom team here in the tip side over here on our stand side with his reaction to that challenge, but play continues anyway. Justin Heffernan was quite happy with it, and Mairead Ryan is there to dig the ball out. Bit of a high hospital pass towards Judith Mulcahy, but Mulcahy's in there to get out of the way with Roisin Ambrose, and then doubling on it there, Niamh Ryan. That's a lovely bit of skill, but unfortunately just wasn't able to direct it then, just got it out of trouble, and it's out over the line off the 45.
Yeah, really quick thinking from Niamh Ryan there, just to hit that with no hands it up the field, but just out over the sideline. I suppose didn't really give her forwards much of a chance on it, but a real even clearance nonetheless.
So this sideline cut going to be taken by Aoife McGrath, the joint captain, of course, from Drummond Inch. Ball down along the wing now. Grace O'Brien taking it in. Thought about giving it off there to Mairead Evanston, but found a lovely ball up the wing to Nicole Walsh from Borrisalee, playing a diagonal ball across now. This is suit Devan. Oh, she took it on the run coming out. Looking to step inside. Caught Devan, been holding off the attentions of Quaid. Blocked away, and it's gone wide. She didn't get a touch on it, Marion Quaid, and you'd have to credit Marion Quaid there, but that was some bit of skill by Devan.
Yeah, lovely bit of skill from Caught Devan to take that at full stretch and take it into the hand, but credit Marion Quaid, some super defending back there, and just kept Devan outside her, pushed her out, forced the shot and forced the wide, so some super defending.
Rena Friday win the ball over on the far side, but Sophia Callan trying to make it difficult and come in there. Karen Kennedy looking to step out around all the attention, I should say. Aoife McGrath, sorry, the two red helmets close at hand there, and both of them have the sleeves rolled up, and we're going to have to find some other marker now to distinguish between the two of them. I think it's maybe going to be the white socks of Aoife McGrath as this ball goes long and inside. Opportunity here now for Emer McGrath looking to step in around the attentions that she's receiving from Roisin Ambrose. Ball is blocked away. Here comes O'Dwyer looking to have one swing at it. Tight to that left hand post. Looks like it's gone to the left and wide, and Limerick hurl broken there with the attention that Roisin Ambrose was trying to give to Orla O'Dwyer. A missed opportunity again for Tip.
Yeah, another missed opportunity, and again credit the defending back there, super defending from Roisin Ambrose, and eventually had the broken hurl in her hand trying to get that last block, but just did enough maybe to put off the shot. Now
I wasn't in Bird that day. You were there at that league match with Kilkenny and Limerick, and it was the intensity Limerick brought that day and the defensive play that got them so close in that game. Yeah,
they absolutely matched and outworked Kilkenny for long periods of that game, and as I said, were deserving of the victory that day. They just didn't quite get it. They did everything right but just didn't get the victory, but they brought a huge intensity and had the skill level to match it, and their defenders are showing that here today. Karen Kennedy playing a nice little ball up towards her forward line there, looking for the run of Grace O'Brien that had moved on, but it's Limerick that have turned it over again, and it's Niamh Ryan, the Bruff player, giving it to Judith Mulcahy of Ahan, who's trying to find Caoimhe Lyons from Bruff. Being marshalled there well by Emer Lockman. Crowd appealing that maybe Lyons was being fouled there. Looked like she had overplayed it, and then somehow gets back doubled on it. Ball might break in here. Looking to get a touch on it, but well done. Lockman there to keep it away from Sophia Callan. Ball breaks over on the far side, and I notice Murrin Kramer is wearing number 3, but she's currently playing in her own full forward, I think. Yeah, and I think initially started centre forward on Karen Kennedy, but she's certainly pushed up towards the forwards out of her orthodox full back position. Strong run here now by Tip, all the way out of the defence, jinking and jiving. Clodagh going to have a shot at the post.
And Claudia McIntyre, we know she has it in the armoury. She is a speedster. She just took off there.
Yeah, left Judith Mulcahy in her wake there, and the real clever little jink just at the end to avoid any attempted hook there, and a super score from for Tipperary, having come straight from that Limerick attack.
Fantastic score from Tipperary and their speedster Claudia McIntyre. The ball breaks in the middle and it's Orlo Dwyer getting the ball inside to Arena Friday. Steps away from Justin Heffernan and plays a nice little dinky ball in on top of the van here. But the van has been well marshalled by Marion Quaid, and that's going to be an interesting tussle throughout the afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I suppose Marion Quaid came with it, knowing the big job she would have on caught the van in that full forward line, full back line today.
Lovely little bit of play by Arena Friday, picked out Nicole Walsh, who wanted it, demanded it off her, and took a nice score.
Yeah, super little ball in, and you know, I suppose Arena Friday had maybe an attempt at a longer shot herself if she wanted it, but got the call from inside and played it into Nicole in the better position, and a super score from Tip.
Two wing forwards have now scored there in the last 60 seconds or thereabouts as the ball breaks, and winning it, Kennedy giving it to Aoife McGrath. McGrath up along the wing now. Lovely little takedown there by Grace Walsh, under a little bit of pressure though. Being challenged there by Karen O'Leary, the Limerick captain, still bursting onto it though. Our tip, but it's taken away now by O'Leary. O'Leary tried to play a short little dinky ball. It bounced back to her though. Goes to have another go, and Grace O'Brien gives her a nice little hook. Fairness, O'Leary, she's still battling on this ball, but Tip looking to win it back, trying to get in there and help out as well. Niamh Curtin, but the ball breaks in favour of Grace O'Brien. Looking to charge forward, and yeah, no doubt about it, led the charge into Sophie O'Callaghan there, and Sophie, big strong player, and but just standing her ground, I suppose, and not a whole lot Grace O'Brien then could do.
No, and I think she knew straight away once the whistle went that she'd been blown for. But how busy has she been in the first 10 minutes there? She's been all over the field and got on a lot of possession for Tipperary.
Oh, lovely take by Moll Ryan. What a take from that ball coming across the field. Just goes to show you the skill that she has. Interchange of passing, but Mairead was asking an awful lot. I think Mairead must have forgot where the sideline was.
Just maybe ran out of space on the sideline here, but what a catch from Mary Ryan inside again. Totally outstretched and under pressure from the Limerick player. Did so well, catch it outside her body and played on, and it would have been a lovely little bit of play if the 1-2 had come off there.
Just going to allude to before Mary Ryan did that Grace O'Brien, you were saying that she's on every blade of grass out here, probably because she's on her home pitch. I think she's out to impress in some way.
Yeah, probably knows it well, probably has a good support here behind her as well, but she's certainly been very busy for Tip in the opening 10 or 11 minutes.
Good bit of play there from Limerick, but all too tight for Cueva Lyons then, and the Tip defence with Julianne Burke doing the needful there. That ball went out eventually wide, and it remains Tip 3, Limerick 1 as we get to the 12th minute mark. Ball played inside by Rebecca DeLee. Nice little ball now to send Kramer on the way, getting away from the attentions of Roisin Howard. Kramer now looking to pop the pass, ran in though into the Tip player, and I think Murrin, she got so far and then was just a bit unsure what to do. Yeah,
I could see the player outside her, I think, and always had the hand pass in her head, and maybe went to try it and it just didn't come off, and continued her run forward then and took the Tip player out of the game. I think it was Julianne Burke inside there and free out, but you can see why Murrin Kramer is up in that half forward line now. If those strong runs continue, she'll be looking for players to come off her shoulder and try and create something for Limerick up there.
Emer Lockman is picking her up now at the moment as this ball came out from Tip, and it could have been got there by Sophie O'Callaghan, but it's picked up by Aoife McGrath. Ball over into the far side now, and it's a good strong run here from the ball coming in there from Emer McGrath, and up and over the bar, and Emer started in a corner forward, now gone out to wing forward, and I think that's probably your better position in lots of ways.
Yeah, strong player and a great striker of the ball from distance out there. A couple had dropped into her corner forward, maybe hadn't come off from her, but that was a great strike from out the field, and plenty of movement in that Tip forward line.
4 points for Tip, 4 from individual players, 4 forwards. Bill Mullaney's going to be quite happy with that as this ball breaks to Roisin Howard, gets away from Karen O'Leary, giving it off now to Grace O'Brien. It's challenged by Kramer, back it goes to Evanston. Cross-field ball it goes, and was searching out maybe McIntyre over on the far side, but it's well read by the Limerick defence, and they're able to break out with it and play it into the middle to Karen O'Leary, the captain. Settles on this ball, but O'Brien gets for it. Nice little dinky ball, hopped off the ground, and they leave it to each other, and maybe they should advance on it a little bit sooner. There is Rebecca DeLee looking to step Tip inside, playing it down along the wing. Ball is taken into play here now and moving on with Laura Stack. Stack being challenged by Kennedy and Mary Ryan, 2 all-stars after as this ball is played in. They did the needful, didn't really challenge, and it wasn't really shot off much in the end. Wide it goes, and a quick ball taken straight away using the rules there well is Cueva Burke down along the field. Limerick hadn't even turned around and the ball was already launched out. Ball is moved inside, opportunity for Tip to get forward, but getting back there and helping out now, doing enough defensively. But have they? No, they haven't. Howard has been able to get in there and slalom her way through. Still going is Howard, shortens the grip. Knew she probably wasn't going to be able to get the shot at goal because of Judith Mulcahy. Just shortened the grip and tapped it over.
Yeah, a couple of lovely little pieces of skill there. The quick puck out initially and a super little rob from Roisin Howard there as the Limerick player went to roll lift the ball. Howard got her hand in nice and low, grabbed the ball and looked to be heading for goal, but maybe just ran out of a little bit of space and falling, managed to put it over the bar. But it's super tracking back on the other side for Marion Kramer as well. She tracked the run the whole way back from that puck out, got that initial little flick that brought the ball to ground, but just couldn't do enough to stop Roisin Howard gaining possession.
The gap is opening here now a little bit, and it's another individual score, Roisin Howard. So it's just Grace O'Brien of the starting 6 that haven't scored yet in this game after 15 minutes, exactly as you see on the board. And we're just seeing Arena Friday take on a little bit of water after being involved in that break. Got a little bit of a knock, but she's okay. Is she? No, and Justin Heffernan decides while we have a break and play sensibly enough, I suppose, that we take the water break. Tip seem to have weathered a little bit of a Limerick storm and are kicking on here now a bit. Yeah,
they've got a couple of good points there on the trot, and as you said, 4 or 5 different scorers up front, so asking questions of the Limerick defence, and a bit like yesterday's game, credit to the Limerick defence, they're holding out in there, but it does look like Tip are capable of creating something up front, whereas on the other side Limerick just seem a little bit void of options. I suppose they had played one-on-one with Laura Stack inside on Mary Ryan for a period of that first half, but really in a one-on-one battle Mary Ryan is going to come out those 99% of the time, super player. But when they played it up the wings on the last occasion here, Laura Stack did take her for a bit of a run, and credit Karen Kennedy got back with her, and between the two of them they snuffed up out the opportunity. But if you see runs like Marion Kramer's run there earlier, Limerick are really going to have to get something out of those kind of runs to try and keep in touch with Tip now, and I think it's a big 15 minutes from Limerick that they try and keep in touch and don't let Tip stretch out that lead any further.
Yeah, that's going to be all important. You would imagine Pat Ryan is getting through to them there. They have been able to go toe to toe with them, but just maybe the shot option hasn't been clear cut at the other end of the field. Yeah, and when they get turned over, then when they have attacked, they get turned over, and Tip are so dangerous on the counter attack. Then, as we saw from that last quick puck out, it managed to get all the way down, and Roisin Howard got the point from it. Could have had something maybe a shot at a goal in there, but that's how dangerous Tip are on the counter-attack, and they've lots of pace all over the field and lots of players able to take scores from distance if required. So something Limerick need to be conscious of. If they get up there, they're going to either have to put the ball dead or get a score from it and then reset to stop Tip counter-attacking at pace. So we had a stoppage in play as Rena Friday had picked up a knock after that score there from Roisin Howard, and so sensibly referee decided let's call the water break at that moment. And we're going to have a puck out from Laura O'Neill, the Napiersic custodian. Breeze has picked up now a little bit though, as we can see the tricolour off to our left hand side blowing significantly. As I said, that breeze coming in from the Lochder direction as the ball breaks for Orla O'Dwyer. O'Dwyer now looking to play it up along the wing, looking for Devan. Devan being tracked by Quaid. Oh, lovely little bit of play, but reading the option as well with Sophie O'Callaghan, looking to play this ball forward to Karen O'Leary. O'Leary has time now to have a look around, plays it down along the wing, looking for maybe Laura Stack in there, or maybe Cueva Costello. Costello let the ball out over her head, unfortunately, and Emer Lockman didn't have to do a whole lot after that, and the ball goes out over the line and wide, and straight away ball is on the move. Cueva Burke. Limerick are barely just turning, and she has the ball at the other end of the field. And here we go. Chance out maybe to spin inside. Coming on to it is O'Dwyer. She got 3 against Offaly. Going low. Ball is patted away by O'Neill. She's got to be careful. 2 tipped forwards in there, and Laura O'Neill did about enough. Maybe shot just wasn't hard enough from Orla O'Dwyer. Yeah, probably a little bit straight towards Laura O'Neill and made her job maybe a little bit easier than it could have been, but credit her, she got out on it well. But what a run off the shoulder, and again Roisin Howard on the end of that quick puck out, little pop pass out to Orla O'Dwyer, and probably could have put it a little bit further away from Laura O'Neill in the goal, but it just shows Tip on the counter attack again from that quick puck out. O'Neill and sending it long, dropping about 48 metres out from the Tip goal. She's a fair puck out to Laura O'Neill as Mairead Everson tries to play this ball forward. Maybe taking a few tips from Orla O'Dwyer with the sleeves rolled up today. Ball was played down along the wing. It's a little bit too tight, and I'm just wondering, is that a bit of a factor here? That the girl, I think sometimes a little bit of Nina, you know, the wall, the outward wall here, that they think they have more width, I think, than they actually do.
Yeah, the sideline is a good bit in from the wall here, and maybe in your peripheral vision, if you're using the wall as your guideline, you're maybe up on the line a little bit quicker than you think, and we've have a couple of line balls on this side.
Ball played in now, and here goes McIntyre. Got a fine score earlier on that opened up a bit of a gap for Tip, knocking the ball back to Grace O'Brien. O'Brien looking to settle now, have an opportunity. Is this 6 from 6 to the forwards? It is, and Tip, well, Bill Mullaney's going to be very happy. 6 individual scores, all he's starting forwards.
Yeah, and it's the way the scores are created as well. You know, lovely little pop passes out, finding the player in the better position. Clodagh McIntyre, in that case, had got on the initial ball and got the call from Grace O'Brien outside her, and she was the player in the better position and took the score.
So 6 points to 1 then in favour of Tipperary. Coming up on 18 minutes gone as this ball breaks, and Limerick just don't seem to be at the pitch of it for some reason. Elaine, I know they're getting on certain little breaks, but you know, they just not bringing the intensity Tipper definitely bringing.
Yeah, there's been a couple of occasions there where balls have broken, and maybe a couple of Tip players looking at it, 2 or 3 of them, and no one actually going to claim it, and it's ended up being stolen by a Tip player, and they're just playing that little bit higher intensity at the moment, certainly.
And wasted opportunities like that one.
Yeah, a little bit void, I think, of options up front. You know, they are playing, as I said, one inside, but the ball that's going in then needs to be a better ball inside, and on these occasions it's not, I suppose. And if you give that Tip full back line half a chance, you know, they're going to snuff out those balls in. And as I said, Limerick really need to get something up front now, just a single point, you know. And as you said, once Tip get down, they seem to be able to get the handy scores and just stretch that scoreboard a little bit.
Not a great puck out from Cueva, and it was sent back by another Cueva. That was Cueva Costello trying to play little too intricate of a puck out. It didn't work out this time, and returned, and it could have been a little bit more of a butter from Cueva Costello.
Yeah, maybe if Cueva Costello knew she had as much space inside her as she had, it's maybe one she could have taken on, and one Cueva Burke won't be too happy with. Had 2 options outside her and managed to just put it into the hand of the Limerick girl in between the 2.
Roisin Ambrose now playing this ball long, and Limerick seem to have changed things up. I'm looking at Elaine, they seem to have withdrawn a forward at the moment, and you know, Mal Ryan is the one that's left free in there.
Yeah, and look, I've said it time and time again, covering Tip games, Mal Ryan is not a player I'd be letting free on any part of the field. She's just too good at reading the game, too good a hurler to leave in there. And you see on that occasion, she had all the time in the world on the ball, and, you know, able to pick out the passes then.
And Murren Kramer got that ball on there to Laura Stack. It looked like she was getting a score, and it came off a hurl, and I think Cueva Burke was berating herself that she didn't catch it, but I think we'll let her off that one. I don't think she might have even seen that it came off the Tip hurl, and it's going to be a 45 here now for Limerick, and all of a sudden 2 scores on the bounce.
Yeah, and you know, that gives Limerick a little bit of an impetus, and if they can win back this puck out again, obviously, you know, Cueva Burke will be a little bit shaken in the goal maybe from that sharp puck out, and mightn't be as confident to go short, so it gives Limerick, I suppose, the opportunity to crowd the middle here and try and get on some of the breaks.
So Cueva Costello then with this 45, and with her abilities you'd expect her to put it over the bar. The umpire's going for the flag. She's got the 3 points for Limerick, and she's got 2 in the space of 60 seconds. And it's double score, 6 points to 3. Ball over to the far side now. Sophie O'Callaghan went up for that, but the ball has been won by Emer McGrath. McGrath draws the foul, and it should be, you'd imagine, it might be Karen Kennedy might be strolling across, because the van is staying inside, is she? No, she's coming to take it. And ball is left down then for Cottevan. Linesman on the far side marking is practically on the halfway line. She's about 2 or 3 metres in from the far sideline.
And again, when McGrath was fouled on that ball, it was Grace O'Brien was coming off her shoulder and got the pop pass, and had actually gone on. If advantage had been played, she was gone with the ball. But, you know, just shows the movement, I suppose, of Grace O'Brien and the Tip forwards out around the middle of the field there. They're always first to give the option to the Limerick player in possession.
So Cottevan standing over this ball. Good crowd, I have to say, in here in Nina for this encounter. Good to see the locals have come out and support, and I suppose family members out as well on a glorious day on the 25th of July. So Cott lining this up as she does. Long range effort now coming in. It seems to have got the distance anyway. She got the accuracy. No doubt about it. Fine score.
Fantastic score, you know, and obviously had missed the one from a little bit closer in maybe a few minutes ago, but earlier in the first half, but had no doubt about that one. I thought maybe was looking up for an option inside, but not backed herself the whole way in a super score from distance.
Yeah, and I think there's a bit, the breeze is a bit diagonal. He was able to use that there off her shoulder as McGrath gets his ball down along the wing now. An opportunity for maybe Tip to fire another one. It's Roisin Howard spinning and turning and over here towards Grace O'Brien in acres of room on her home pitch now. Going to be challenged shortly by Sophia O'Callaghan, but she's looking to pop a pass maybe inside. Jinkin left, Jinkin right, pops the pass, bit of a loose one to Arena Friday, and it looks like the other number 9 is going to pick it up, and that's the Limerick captain Karen O'Leary, but she's lost it to O'Brien, and then it's one back. Arena Friday, oh, lovely score. If this goes over, cracking effort from Arena Friday. That's a fabulous score.
Super score, and over her shoulder, fantastic score, you know, but credit the work again of Grace O'Brien. You know, she got herself across to this side of the field. She'd been down injured on the far side a few minutes ago, got herself across to this side, got on the end of that, and you knew the minute she won the ball that she was popping that pass to Arena Friday, and another scorer on the board for Tip.
8 points to 3, 23 minutes gone. It's spreading out the scores Tip are doing here today. Now to have a midfielder on the scoreboard. As the ball played over the far side, Clodagh McIntyre just missed it, and it's picked up over there by the fullback for Limerick as the ball is played down along the line. Mairead Ryan stepping into that position at the moment. Marion Quaid back there as well, but it's Mary Ryan that returns it here from a Tipperary point of view. Up it goes towards Emer McGrath, looking to step inside. The drum and inch player wanted to play a short pass to Howard, but lost the ball and being tracked there by Judith Mulcahy. Ball is on the ground and McGrath kicks it on. Well able to play a bit of football as well, but the referee says that she fouled subsequently, the Limerick player, and it's going to be a chance for Niamh Ryan to relieve the pressure. She plays a diagonal ball across here. Did that very, very well. Put the hurl up to shield from the sun, took it down as well, and unfortunately the pass didn't work out there for Caoimhe Costello as it's picked up by Emer Lockman. That would have been something else.
Yeah, two lovely pieces of skill there in the last couple of plays. First that take in the Tip full back line, Mary Ryan coming off the shoulder, and then that touch and control by Caoimhe Costello.
Lovely ball by Kennedy, and then it was a lovely bit of play by Clodagh McIntyre, rolled off the attention of the Limerick back as she gets inside. McIntyre went to bat the ball towards the net. O'Dwyer is still there. Orla O'Dwyer spinning right back onto her left, shoots, puts it over the bar, and Bill Mullaney's going to be very happy because everyone from 8 to 15 is on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want to see, is a spread of scorers up front. You know, Tip have no problem throwing the ball around to the player in the better position, but again, super run by Clodagh McIntyre there right through the Limerick defence and got her shot away, and just maybe a little bit straight at Laura O'Neill again, but credit Laura, she stood up to it, but Orla O'Dwyer there to pick up the pieces.
Here comes Howard now. Is she going to get in on some of the action again? No, ball is stepped in by Laura O'Neill, and she plays a nice little pass out here taken by Sophia O'Callaghan. Might get away from her. No, she does enough to be able to get there. 9 points to 3 then it is. As we said, the spread of scores from Tipperary, everyone from Orla O'Dwyer wearing 8 to Grace O'Brien playing 15 on the scoreboard. As trying to get forward here, Rebecca DeLee taken down. No free, says the referee. The Limerick management team not overly happy with that as Mary Ryan plays this ball out now. He was trying to find the Tipperary midfielder there, and that's a good bit of play there by Nicole Walsh. Lovely bit of play, and she's getting an applause here. Never give up on that ball as this ball played forward. Devan holds off the attentions there of Marion Quaid, drives it forward. Quaid though getting in the hurl all the way. Devan holding her left hand to keep the hurl away from her. Hops it very much like a man we saw last weekend from Limerick point of view. That's a bit of play by Cot Devan. She's the finger up in the air. She's waiting for the umpire to flag. He eventually does. That is a cracking score.
Super bit of play right from the minute she got control here just in front of us. Actually caught the ball with her hand down to tuck the ball well away from the Limerick defender. Won it all herself, got the whole way up, had the support of Nicole Walsh coming off her shoulder, didn't need it, but what a score. Just a pick and strike from Cot Devan, and Tip forwards really on fire here today.
But I just love how she kind of dared that ball. I think Marion Quaid, they had used so much energy. The Quaid maybe was looking for a breather, so was Cot, and she just said, here, and flicks it over the bar.
That over the bar now, I've enough done with that one. But yeah, no, super. And look, it's the mark of the player that Cot is, you know, came out, won that ball herself and made that score herself right from her own 65, you could say.
That battle, as we said, Marion Quaid is an interesting one. She probably is shading it here, and I think all 6 Tip forwards are on top back here under markers. Yeah,
you know, as a collective unit, individually I suppose Limerick are doing well player on player, but just collectively Tip are just able to find, as I said, the player in the better position, and that's really what's making it count.
Might get a shot in the next few minutes of some of the smallies that are around here today. There's plenty of future tip stars in front of us here. Knocking a few slitters around as we wait on this free to be taken by Caoimhe Costello. Costello sending this ball in. Umpires coming from the far back of the goal, waving it wide. And unfortunately for Limerick, they can't be missing any really.
No, it's never a good sign when it's the umpire without the white flag who's advancing at pace for you. But no, another chance just gone a begging for Limerick, and it just allows Tip to just build again from the back.
Ball is here now in the direction of Emer McGrath. Look to play it off to Arena Friday. Ball is knocked in. McGrath then has to get a second bite of the cherry, stepping around a couple of players, and Limerick, we just see, have introduced number 19, Deborah Murphy, who's no inexperienced head either. She is fielded a many a team with Limerick over the last while.
Yeah, came in midfield there just in place of Sinead McNamara, I suppose, and Limerick maybe just looking to get a bit of a foothold around the middle of the field and maybe just stop some of the tipped attack that develops from there.
So this is going to be taken now by Rebecca DeLee. Long strike from Rebecca, dropping it in on top of so Caoimhe Lyons in there, and Caoimhe Costello ball. Oh, Costello somehow won that back. Oh, I thought that looked legitimate. Justin reckons that the hurl came in, so we'll have to see it at the second time. Lovely bit of skill by Costello. Did he maintain she chipped it on that ball?
Probably a chop down. I think he probably blew her for a chop down. Possibly unlucky not to retain possession in there. No great hand from her initially, and felt just maybe if she could have held on to it that there was a goal opportunity there for Limerick.
Here's Orla Dwyer going for her second point. Made it all of her own. Orla Dwyer, fine bit of skill from, of course, a lady who classifies herself as a multiple sport athlete. She's really getting into the flow here now.
Yeah, and that's the killer for Limerick, I suppose. You know, a chance they had at the other end comes down straight from the puck out, and Orla Dwyer wins it and puts it over the bar at the other end for a tip, so a 2-point swing there.
11 points to 3 then on the scoreboard as this ball is sent in. Claudia McIntyre, lovely take, gets it out here to the van. Oh, Tipper just in full flow here at the moment, and it is something else to watch.
Yeah, and as I said, just the speed of the movement through the hands again from Grace O'Brien. A lovely little ball in, great take from Claudia McIntyre inside, and the pop pass to Devan outside then, and a super score from Tip. And I think just the way they're working their scores, not only have they different score takers, but the way that they're working their scores is really, really impressive here today.
12 points to 3 then it is on the scoreboard as we clock towards the end of the game here. Claudia McIntyre is really making hay at the moment. She's going through, surely taken down. Went to pop it in and dare to tap it in again. It just shows you the ground, but it obviously shows you the fitness of Orla Dwyer, I think, who probably is, no disrespect to anyone else, probably the fittest player out there. The ground she's covering to be able to be in support is phenomenal too.
Yeah, it's the support runs she's making up, and I suppose you don't always see them on camera here in the past.
Just
doesn't
look her
always
coming into
go
screen.
But yeah, she's on the end of everything, and anything that Laura O'Neill might bat down or mishandle inside there, she's certainly there on the end of it, and she was on the end of that run again, only for Sophie O'Callaghan, I suppose, to pull down Claudia McIntyre there and avert that goal opportunity.
Yeah, she got another yard. It probably was a penalty, but Sophie O'Callaghan's after picking up a yellow card, and you'd have to say, Elaine, they are hemorrhaging here at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, Limerick need half time to come, I think, quickly now before they concede a major down there, because it was the huge amount of space there. It was an absolute foot race, and look, no defender wants to be in a foot race back towards their own goal with Claudia McIntyre and Orla Dwyer racing down your neck. So, you know, they will need to shore up the back now just before half time there and try and get to half time, I think, without conceding a goal.
So, caught putting this ball on the 20-metre line, probably giving herself a little bit of an angle. Went back a little bit behind the line, as of course she has to be able to hit it before the 20-metre line, and she puts that ball over the bar for her 5th score. And I know it was a thing we raised during the week with regards to a free down in Waterford last weekend in the closing stages of the game, but Cott was making no doubt there that she was within the remit of the law, as Claudia McIntyre, who, as I said, had been very, very busy, giving it to Arena Friday. Friday went to play the ball on, but Mairead Ryan got in there and dispossessed, and Karen O'Leary is able to bat it out now to her clubmate Deborah Murphy, who's in play for Sinead McNamara, playing a ball diagonally across the field, but it's out over the line, and Rebecca DeLee wasn't going to be able to make that. Mairead Evanston going to place it down now here for the sideline cut. I can't imagine we've too much longer on Justin Heffernan's watch. And Limerick, really, since they got those couple of scores in quick succession, Tip have just marched on again. It was double scores at one stage, remember? 6-3.
Yeah.
Ball played long into the corner, and Justin Heffernan has seen enough. Half time here then, and it is 13 points to 3, and Tip are well underway here to claim a victory.
Yeah, big 15 minutes from them there. I suppose they tacked on 8 points to Limerick's 2, and that's really the telling difference there. But as I said, I think it's just the way they're creating their scores and working the ball to the player in the better position. And as you said, all 8 players from 8 right up to corner forward have all scored, and from a variety of positions. I don't think there's any of the Tip forwards stagnant. They're all moving all over, and we can see exactly the kind of game they're trying to play, coming off the shoulder, finding the player in the better position and popping over those points. And I think Bill Mullaney will be happy enough at half time, maybe a little bit disappointed that they haven't taken some of the goal opportunities they have created. They forced Laura O'Neill into a couple of saves down there, but maybe a combination of a poor finishing shot and a good save from Laura O'Neill. But I suppose it's something, if he needs a stick to beat them with at half time, I suppose that will be one thing, that when they get those opportunities they will need to take them against the bigger teams maybe. But certainly an impressive opening first half from Tipperary.
But it's been, you'd have to say, since the water break though, Tip, it's just been all one-way traffic. I know Limerick chipped in with 2 scores in 60 seconds, and you were thinking about narrowing the gap. That's as close as it got, 6 points to 3, and then just Tip knocked on again. And some of the scores have been top quality. Top
quality, and they've making them look easy. They're popping them over for fun down there, but I suppose they're getting their scores that much easier than Limerick are able to even maybe create the chances up front. And much like yesterday, I think it's just a case of hold them at the back for as long as you can. And I think from a Limerick point of view, they'll be happy to get in at half time, regroup a little bit, and maybe try and come up with a couple of more ideas of how they're going to break down that Tip defence back there, because at the moment they're certainly on top.
Just looking on camera at the moment, see those 2 that are down there on the field, that they've been knocking the ball around in front of us. And well, I tell you, they maybe were born with a hurl in their hand by the looks of them.
Yeah, they're getting plenty of work off the ball wall here. They have a new ball wall built out the back of the stand there, but those 2 little kids got plenty of work on the steps here now during that first half. But out there now, they're going to put on a bit of a half-time performance for us.
Absolutely. So great to see some of the kids from, I'd say, what are they, 2 or 3 years of age all the way up to teenagers out here at the moment, knocking the ball around on a glorious day. If you're Bill Mullaney, let's keep doing what you're doing. For Pat Ryan, you're going to be disappointed, because you heard what he said to us at the start of the game. He wanted his girls to come out and take the game to Tipperary. They either haven't been able to, or they just I suppose haven't been let either. Yeah,
it's probably been a little bit of a combination of both, but Limerick have just been a little bit off the pace there in that first half. I know I said balls breaking a couple of times and maybe 2 or 3 Limerick players looking at it instead of going and claiming it, and it's Tip's movement really up front that they haven't really been able to live with. And when that space is left in behind, they've got pace in that Tip full forward line, so Limerick will have to shore up at the back, and as I said, maybe just try and find a way to create something a little bit more creative up front, and try and get, once they've got ball into Caoimhe Costello, she's been dangerous inside there and did get her hand to the last one, but other than that, it's been waiting, I suppose, and depending too much on frees. And that Tip defences mean they're not giving away too many scoreable frees in there, so it's something I suppose Pat Ryan and his backroom team will try and drill into Limerick now. They have a big 30 minutes of championship hurling ahead of them in order to keep their championship hopes alive, and at the minute you have to say they are playing second fiddle, and it is Tip that are setting the pace.
Yeah, well, it's going to have to be, I think, a phenomenal Limerick performance in the second half if they're to get anything from this, because Tipperary are in full flow, and as I mentioned to you, have a score on the board from everyone from 8 to 15. Orlo Dwyer is 2, Arena Friday, Clodagh McIntyre, Roisin Howard, Nicole Walsh, Emer McGrath and Grace O'Brien have all 1, and Cottavan has 5. That brings their tally to 13. The 3 scores for Limerick have come from place ball, Caoimhe Costello 2 and 1 from play, and that's as much of a challenge Limerick unfortunately have mounted here. So from a situation where we might have felt that these groups we'd like something to play for on the last day, it looks like we're going to be settling these groups very, very early after round 2, that we'll have the top 2 in both and the bottom 2 all sorted out by the time we finish up with this game here in MacDonagh Park. But we wait and see. We'll give Limerick some hope with half an hour still of this All-Ireland Senior Camogie Championship Group 1 round 2 encounter to go. It is here at half time as we take a wee break. Tipperary 13 points, Limerick 3 points. Welcome back to McDonagh Park here in Nina. Both teams just re-emerging on the pitch. Limerick went in, Tip stayed out, and interested to see what maybe Pat Ryan is trying to get through to his charges here. Don't see any other changes to the sides yet. We'll bring them to you if we do. Limerick have to go for broke here now, Elaine, really, don't they?
Certainly, yeah. They need to get on the scoreboard now and get a couple of scores flowing, and maybe try and create something up front. And if they could get within a couple of scores, maybe of Tip, and maybe rattle them a little bit. But certainly for the first half there, it was Tip dictating the pace of the game.
Grace O'Brien was the one that won that from the throw-in, but it's Rebecca DeLee that tries to take a bit of fight now to Tip, and she's won a free. So it's Cueva Costello then from the Adair Club, standing just over the halfway line, as you can see, attacking the scoreboard end here of McDonagh Park, which is off to our left hand side. Gets good height on it. Looks like it's tailing to the left though, and that's a bad miss really.
Yeah, had the distance, had all of the distance, but just not the accuracy. And I suppose it is a miss for Limerick, and those are ones that they either, as I said in the first half, want to be scoring or want to be keeping in play, and just maybe asking questions of that Tip full back line. But a chance now again for Cueva Burke to relaunch an attack.
Bit of a high challenge there, was it, in the leg as well. Referee having a chat. Yeah, it's hard to know maybe. He's having a word with Karen O'Leary about that it was maybe a bit high, but did she know too much about the Tipperary player behind her?
No, in her defence, I think she was possibly keeping an eye on the ball, and I'm not sure if she was going to try and double on it back in, or I think it's Arena Friday, is it? Maybe it came out of off her blind side maybe and just got the end of the hurl, but Karen O'Leary booked anyway for the challenge.
Yeah, Arena Friday is the one, and she's up anyway. Arena from Knockavilla Kickham's, and the free that's going to be taken by Karen Kennedy.
There is one change, I think, in the Limerick half back line. I see their number 17 Ashing scanning in for, it looks like, Niamh Curtin, I think, so just that left half back.
Ball here down towards the van, but it's picked up by Niamh Ryan. A little bit of short hurling now from Limerick as they play a ball across field, and this is the problem. The ball they're playing isn't necessarily high enough quality for them to take the game here to Tip, is it?
No, certainly the call came from Sophie O'Callaghan, but the out ball to her there just wasn't good enough, and I suppose it just left Aoife McGrath in too much space, and she was able to come onto the ball and as I said, set up a Tip attack from there.
Grace O'Brien judged to have caught that ball 3 times, so it's going to be a free out for Limerick as the breeze picks up here, and it will be with Limerick in this second half. Kind of diagonal breeze, so hard to know how to measure it. As this ball comes out, Mary Ryan loses a bit of track on it, but she's backed up there by Emer Lockman, and Lockman comes out with this ball now, looking to get away from Muireann Kramer. Ball played into the middle. Nicole Walsh looking a short grip, and that's well played there by Tip, and Karen Kennedy held on to that well. Plays a nice little dinky ball down, looking for the movement out. Devan kept it rolling. Here's O'Dwyer stepping inside her marker. O'Dwyer looking to get away, still going. O'Dwyer looking to play it off. Going to be a free in. Could it be more? It is more. It's a 20 metre, and it's going to be a penalty here for Tipperary. Orla O'Dwyer surely was going to end up in the back of the net. Judith Mulcahy, was it Roisin Ambrose? Roisin Ambrose taking no chances there and pulled her back, and that's going to be yellow card for Roisin Ambrose, and a chance here for Cot Devan. You have 13 points to 3 lead. I think you would go for this, would you?
Oh, if you're a player of Cot Devan's stature, you're going for it every day. And it's something she's obviously well practiced, well thought out. She's paced back her 3 steps there now before she places the ball, so she's certainly going to go for it and put this game beyond Limerick. Yeah,
this game is over. I think if this goes to the back of the net, it's Laura O'Neill, a fine shot stopper herself up against Cot Devan, who though has probably one of the hardest shots in Camogie. Comes up to this, strikes low. Oh, and she did get a hurl to it, in fairness, Laura O'Neill. It's just about the pace on it.
Yeah, really unlucky from Laura O'Neill there. Guessed right, went to the right side, and to be fair, the penalty was at a good height for her. Got a hurl to it, but just couldn't. It was the power behind it caused it to spin into the net. But big strike from Cotavan, and as I said, credit Laura O'Neill. She did everything right, but just couldn't get her the full force behind it.
No, 113 to 3 now it is, and we skipping on in this game. as ball is won. Looks like a little bit of a knock picked up there by Claudia McIntyre as Mairead Ryan came out and won that ball, but down the far end of the field this ball is gone and Emer Lockman has time now. And I have to say, when you consider the talk from Pat at the start of the game, Limerick are standing way off a number of Tipperary players.
Yeah, and it really is Tipperary dictating the pace of it. Now, credit to Tipperary, they're hopping off the ground. They look like a real team primed for Championship hurling, and their hurling is really sharp. The balls are all going straight to hand, whereas on the other hand, Limerick are just a little bit more laboured, I think, in everything they do, and the build up and everything is slower. But Tip for certainly do look like they're hopping off the ground, and Limerick are finding it hard to live with.
This is one player we haven't seen a whole lot of, but she's got a fine score there. Caoimhe Lyons, she made it all of her own, got into a bit of space, and probably scored again from a Limerick point of view.
Yeah, and the two players I suppose that Limerick will want to get on the ball are Caoimhe Costello and Caoimhe Lyons, but they just haven't been able to get enough ball into the full forward line. It's just been cut out by that Tip half back line, and in fairness they are a solid half back line, and you have Arena Friday mopping up around there as well, so formidable half back line to try and break down for Limerick.
Marion Quaid won that battle there, this time with Cot Devan, but it was Grace O'Brien to place it inside. What a save. Laura O'Neill stood up big and strong. Roisin Howard was coming in and that. I'm sure she saw her name in lights, but a cracking save from Laura O'Neill.
Yeah, Laura O'Neill had no right to save, as you said, 1-on-1, and Roisin Howard had broke lovely to her. She'd picked it up nicely and did everything right with it, and credit Laura O'Neill, got out, made herself big, and a super save from her again, and Limerick have her to thank.
Cracking save from Laura O'Neill, but what a ball in by Grace O'Brien as this shot comes in there from distance by Orla Dwyer, but it's gone out to the right and wide. Tip now, not too many wides. I had a few in the early stages.
It's just that goal chance again, and Roisin Howard read it really, really well. Lovely ball across the square and just the finish. And again, it's a goal chance. I suppose that Bill will be a little bit annoyed about that Tip haven't taken maybe some of their goal chances.
Just have the penalty as Grace O'Brien, as we said, has covered every blade of grass in Nina here today. Gets the ball to Howard. Howard sending it up high. Looks like it's gone between the posts, judging by the applause on the far side. Roisin Howard with a fine score, and she's really buzzing around there in the last few minutes too.
Yeah, she's really grown into this game, and as I said, it's Tip again working the ball to the player in the better position. Their hurling is really, really sharp, and they're finding the player with those sharp passes, and a super score for Roisin.
Tip haven't let the foot off the gas at all, and have scored a goal and a point since the half-time break. The goal from a penalty after Orla Dwyer got inside and had jinked and jived around Roisin Ambrose, and then Ambrose just pulled her back inside the 20-metre line. No doubt about a penalty. And lovely cut there from Emer McGrath. Look at the little flight on that, right into Dwyer's hand, turns on to her left, and it's a pity she's missed it, because it was a lovely cut from Emer McGrath. Yeah,
super ball across and made all the distance. Orla took it really, really well, but her finishing just a little bit off, and that added to the wide just before it. So maybe the shooting for points still a little bit off, but certainly a player that's getting herself into the right positions.
Ball gets away there from Julianne Burke, but it's knocked on by Arena Friday. Ball is down the field. Howard again looking to spin around here, giving it. Heard a shout coming from McGrath. Going to be a shot in from Claudia McIntyre, in fact, and it's gone up and over the bar. And I have to say, talking about Claudia McIntyre, she's having a fine game out there.
Yeah, super game again, and it's just the Tip players making themselves available for the players in possession. Roisin Howard did really, really well to win that ball, looked out the field, and she had a couple of options. McIntyre was outside her, Grace O'Brien was outside her, and able to pop the ball to the player in the better position and get the score.
1:15-4 as Limerick come on the attack, needing something to happen for them, but it's Mary Ryan that diverts that ball out there, looking to send it back in. Was Caoimhe Lyons. Ball though is won by Emer Lockman. Lockman over to the far side now. Grace O'Brien, look, she's everywhere. She's in the forward, she's in the backs. She's playing this ball forward here now to Devan. Devan gives her a return pass, asking a little bit maybe too much, and she holds up her hand to Grace O'Brien there. Would have been something alright, but Grace is definitely, I have to say, fired up for obviously this game on her home pitch.
Yeah, and that's just testament as well to the way Tip are playing. Grace gave that ball. There was no resting on your laurels. She was gone again for the return pass, and you just feel if Cot Devan's pass had been a little bit closer to her hand, that there was a shot opportunity there for Grace O'Brien.
real lackadaisical sideline cut from Limerick, and it's turned over by Tip, and it's all the way over here to Clodagh McIntyre playing. What a ball across, just a little bit unlucky that it went over Arena Friday's head, and it's going to be cleared by Marion Quaid. Ball is upfield now, looking to get moving on it here. Costello looking to pop a pass inside, she does, to Deborah Murphy knocking it long, could be an opportunity here, but Mary Ryan did that very, very well, tapping the ball across. Now has to come across to Sophie O'Callaghan, but she knew that if the ball had got inside her, it was spelled maybe difficulty. Ball batted back there by Emer Lockman and picked up here by Aoife McGrath. Low ball here now to Mary Ryan. Loads of time to look up the field. Pops a pass, but not maybe a great one. But here, coming from behind, was Orla Dwyer to win that. And you really should have expected the Limerick players, Aisling Scallon, to chase on to that. Here now, Roisin Howard looking to set free the Tip attack again. Ball breaks down. Friday trying to get in there, trying to help as well as Orla Dwyer. Ball is underneath the foot of somebody, but eventually it's picked up by Howard, looking to slalom her way through. Pops a pass out here. Coming on to it again is McGrath, looking to have a shot at the post. Up and over the bar it goes. And that's a cracking effort from Tipperary, just biding their time and always off the run. And it's a good score, in fact, from Nicole Walsh.
Yeah, super. And that again came from that Tip full back line. You know, Mary Ryan with that lovely, lovely composure back there. And they're a solid set of six backs at the back there, and really used to playing together, and they worked that ball so well up. And it was Mary Ryan's clearance, as I said, probably should have been won by a Limerick player in the half back line, snapped by Orla Dwyer, and that's what created that move, and finished lovely then by Nicole Walsh. And again, worked through, I'd say, about 6 players' hands there to get it to the player in the better position and get Tip on the scoreboard again.
Corinne Blair is in, the Cashel club woman, and she's in replacing Emer McGrath. So Bill taking an opportunity out to run his bench, I'd imagine, as Deborah Murphy comes on to this. Shows a little bit of skill, try to find Rebecca DeLee, her clubmate, but Tipperary have turned that over. Bit of a trip there on Nicole Walsh as she won that ball back, but play being continued now. Here's Laura Durra's Clodagh McIntyre, the speedster herself from North Tip, on the way now, on her bike, looking to step inside. McIntyre still going, lovely little pass off here now. It's a substitute that's just in, Blair having a shot. Unfortunately, maybe just not got her shot in yet, as she's only on the field of play. Lovely bit of play again by McIntyre.
And again, it's the player coming off the shoulder again. You know, the minute McIntyre got that ball in her hand, she was taking on the Limerick defence, but Karen Blair got up beside her and was there for the pop pass on the out ball. So, you know, Tip working really, really well together as a team.
Lovely take by Rebecca DeLee, but there's a bit of attention to Nicole Walsh. I think that's going back to that earlier incident where I definitely thought she was deserving of a free. Play was allowed to continue. It should have been probably a score at the other end, but she looked like she was tripped as she was coming back to clear the ball. Thought there could even been a card in it.
Yeah, I think she was certainly tripped, and you know, credit to Tip, they had the players back there and they managed to cut out any threat, and I think maybe that's why Justin left the play develop again. But certainly I did feel it was a trip, and she is feeling that ankle, I think.
116-4, and I don't know whether the weather has got to Limerick or what here, but they're just not able to live with the pace that Tip are bringing here today. And you know, it's a lethargic enough performance as Grace O'Brien has done the needful for her club here, representing her club and her county well today. Busy bee out there, and she gets a deserved rest as Tip introduce a substitute, and it looks like, is it Miriam Campion?
Yeah, it looks like to be 18, Miriam Campion. So another one looking to maybe get on the scoreboard and put her name in place for a starting place later in the championship.
Caoimhe Costello putting that ball over the bar then from that free after 43 minutes. Brings Limerick on to 5. But as you can see, a big score for Tip, and Campion straight away taking this ball. Diagonal ball across so looking to get in on a breakdown here. Devan being held off by Quaid. Ball is still in there. Oh, she's picked it up somehow, Devan. Going to have a shot off the upright. It comes and bounces across the goal and out, would you believe, and wide. How did that ball do that? Very unlucky.
No, really clever work from Van. Used all her strength there to hold off the Limerick defender and spun out and just tried to get the shot away, but credit to Roisin Ambrose, got a hurl in and maybe forced a little snapshot and off the upright and out wide.
Up along the far side and lovely bit of play by Limerick as they try to get it towards Laura Stack. Eventually it's picked up by Caoimhe Lyons looking to jink inside the attentions of Julianne Burke. Still going there, but Burke has won the race, but the referee is calling it back for an original foul, and it's Caoimhe Costello, I'd imagine, be favoured to take this and keep Limerick somewhat in touch. But Limerick, I'd imagine Pat Ryan will be looking to next weekend in a game they now have to win against Offaly to to avoid being pulled into relegation matters.
Yeah, look, it looks like, you know, the game today is obviously, it's gone from them at this stage as they trail Tipperary here, and Tip don't look to be letting up anytime soon. So yeah, big game ahead, a big week ahead I suppose for Limerick, and looking to get a win now against Offaly next weekend to stay in the senior championship.
As this free going to be taken by Caoimhe Costello, coming across the goals, and umpire goes for the flag. It's over the bar. It's a good score from her from a tight enough angle. 2 on the bounce there. And you'd have to say Elaine as well. I'm just looking at the scoring difference. Offaly of -24. Coming into today's game, Limerick had only -2. It's mounting up a little bit for them. They want to be careful if it did get a little bit tighter on that end.
You know, I think even from a confidence point of view, that, you know, they need to be trying to get a couple of scores on the scoreboard, and in fairness, once they get the ball to the corner forwards, you know, the 2 Cuevas inside have been causing problems when they've gotten in there. You know, they've been fouled for a couple of frees and look to be creating something in there. You'd feel that maybe if they were moved out the field, or maybe even one of them out the field a little bit further, that maybe they could start to build something from there.
Well, I just think on scoring difference, if it came down to it or something like that, Murray and Kramer taking the fight though to Limerick, playing a nice little ball across here now. Costello looking, or I should say Lyons looking to step in on a right hand side, but being tracked all the way there. Tight enough angle for a shot. Off the upright it comes, and both uprights being peppered at either end of the field, and it's picked up by Emer Lockman, the Clonouty Rossnamore player, playing it down along the field. Will it be kept in play? No, unfortunately out over the line, and Rebecca DeLee looking to get over there and take that sideline cut, as the referee, I think, decides to call a water break just over the 15-minute mark. 1-16-6. And, you know, this whole performance has been pretty awesome from Tipperary.
Yeah, look, I said it just as they were coming out for the second half there. They were doing a couple of sprints maybe out from a circle while they waited for Limerick to come out, and they certainly looked to be a team that are hopping off the ground and real championship ready and championship prepped, and that's the way it's been here today. You know, as I said, they've dictated to Limerick from the word go, and, you know, they've been mean at the back. They haven't conceded too many frees, and they've broken up any kind of an attempt at Limerick attack there, and from 8 to 9 forward, then they've just been awesome. I mean, creating the overlap time and time again and working the ball so clever. Their hurling is really, really sharp, even in short spaces out around the middle of the field, working the ball through the hands out to the player in the better position. And, you know, they have a couple of real standout forwards up there who have been able to get their name on the scoreboard, and a couple of forwards now coming in. Karen Blair and Marion Campion will be looking to, I suppose, put their hands up for a place for next weekend and moving forward into the championship as Tip look to top this group and move forward to the semi-finals.
No doubt. It's a lot, maybe bigger fish to fry in some ways for Bill Mullaney and his crew as the next couple of weeks open up.
Yeah, I think they certainly have an eye to knock out Camogie now at this stage, you know, see out the victory here today, and they're guaranteed of at least a quarter-final spot. So, you know, they have huge ambitions. I've no doubt that the league semi-final defeat to Kilkenny was a big blow to them earlier in the year, because, as I said on that occasion, they did everything right that day bar win the match. You know, they matched Kilkenny for hurling, for intensity and everything else, and they just didn't get the result that maybe their performance deserved on the day. So, you know, I'm sure that's something that they've spoken about, and they'll be anxious to maybe complete a full 60 minutes here today, see out this game, and then focus again on next weekend, and as I said, further on then into the quarterfinals and potential semi-finals.
So a sideline cut over on the far side then to be taken by Rebecca DeLee. Down along the far side looking to get it towards Caoimhe Lyons, but that ball has gone over the line. It's remaining a Limerick sideline ball. Great to see the likes of Rebecca DeLee back in action. Of course, last year, I think we were above in Galway, wasn't it? And we were finding out at that time that she had suffered a cruciate injury. She probably in some ways was lucky that COVID came about and, you know, didn't miss a whole lot, but it was a punctured enough year for her last year with that injury. Yeah,
I think COVID has been kind enough, in fairness, to players coming back.
This ball comes inside here. Sophia Callahan, ball has got away and it's in the back of the net. I don't know how she got a little bit of a touch on that, but she is someone that just her physical presence. We've seen Sophia Callahan in many Limerick matches and in college games as well. She can just be such a nuisance at times, and was able to do enough to get that ball, somehow got a bat on it to put it in the net.
Yeah, great line ball across initially, and did really, really well to get a hand to it, and when she did manage to get a one-handed flick or a curly nearly across the line, and it trickled agonisingly slow, I suppose, across the line for Mary Ryan as she was watching it.
That's a good one. All right, a trickle as this ball is sent in long then from O'Callaghan. Has she got a goal and a point in quick succession? Sophia O'Callaghan leading a one-woman fight here at the moment.
Super take again, and certainly the Limerick, since this water break, seemed to be a Limerick that we could have done with seeing maybe 45 minutes ago when they started this game, but they've certainly brought a much bigger intensity since that water break now, and they need to keep that up, I'm sure.
Just letting you know that Megan O'Mara from Munaleen is in on the Limerick side, and she's on the ball here now at the moment as she plays the ball over to the far side, knocked away from Rebecca DeLee. Ball might break. Karen Kennedy could have been the meat and the sandwich there, but she did all right out of that as DeLee does eventually get it, tries to use some of her football skills to play that ball away. But Justin Heffernan said that she dropped the hurl. I think that's what he's maintaining. Yeah, dropped the hurley, and then also I think he also gesticulated. Maybe was she swinging her? I don't know. I thought I saw him definitely use that motion.
I think it was for the drop. Maybe initially she dropped the hurl and opted to kick it away, and that's one of the rules. I suppose takes a little bit of getting used to if you've been playing for a couple of years and are used to dropping the hurl. But just seeing injury for Tip down at the full back line, it looks like Mary Ryan is actually down getting a little bit of treatment following that last little bit of action down there.
I'm just wondering, was it in the goal, trying to stop the goal? Did she overextend herself a little bit? Because she definitely tried to get every inch of herself
she
to stop that goal.
She stretched every sinew to try and get to it, but yeah, it did look to be just her lower back maybe, but just maybe a little bit of precaution.
Sends this ball in, and umpire though is coming out to wave it wide. Limerick crowd trying to urge on their team now. Maybe take a little bit of fight to Tip here in the closing stages. Taken on here now by Cueva Costello, looking to jink left and right, settling on this ball, sending it in and sending it over the bar. All of a sudden Limerick have 1-2 with no response.
Where have this Limerick team been for the last 45 minutes, I suppose, of this game? And I suppose ringing in their ears maybe was the late run that Wexford made last week to beat them. So I suppose no game is lost for them, but they've left it late to make a run. But certainly if we'd seen this kind of a performance from Limerick from earlier in the game, we'd be looking at a different scoreline now.
Well, fairness to them, either side of the water break now, they've notched up a goal and 4 points. And as you said, wonder where this Limerick team was early doors. So to skip on here now at 116 to 1-8, a little bit tighter. There's this ball over here to the far side now. Sophie O'Callaghan trying to get there, but it's good experience from Aoife McGrath. Won it, but give away then, and it's given to Megan O'Mara. Megan giving it to Sophie O'Callaghan, the goal scorer, and then got a point straight from the puck out, playing a low ball in, looking for a little bit of movement now. Mary Ryan though tracking the Limerick number 18 that's in, Anya Cunningham. Anya, of course, a dual player. Ball played out to Lockman. Lockman skipping away from the attentions and gives it now to Irina Friday. Sophie O'Callaghan looks like she may have twinged a muscle in that run across the field there as the ball is played upfield, gets away from Mairead Ryan, and it's going to be a sideline cut for Tipperary. And just maybe a little bit of break in the play that might suit Tip for the moment.
Yeah, Tip's certainly looking for something maybe just to break that Limerick momentum, because as you said, since the water break it really has been all Limerick. So Tip maybe taking the opportunity just to settle down and maybe try and get a player on the ball and get a score on the scoreboard just to settle them again.
Lovely sideline cut again from Cot Devan. Oh, lovely ball. O'Dwyer though just got away from her. It's still in there bouncing around on the 20-metre line, and eventually Limerick looking to get it out, but it's McIntyre looking to skip away, pops a pass, nice little ball to Howard. Just in the last while, some of the wides have started to mount for Tip.
Yeah, even since half time, while they have been dominant up there, they have had a couple of wides and a couple of poor wides, and that allied to, I suppose, the couple of maybe missed goal opportunities will be something that Bill will have to look at going forward, because as I said, when you're playing one of the top three teams, those are the things, the scores you need to make count.
Ball played inside now, an opportunity maybe to keep going. Here's Miriam Kramer looking to get inside. Kennedy, Kramer still going. Ball is knocked away by Aoife McGrath. It's getting a little bit tight down there.
Yeah, what an important touch by Aoife McGrath back there, Miriam Kramer did really, really well. Brought that ball around. Mary Ryan was coming in along the end line and did have Anya Cunningham inside her if she could have got the pass away. But, good defending back there by Tip. But Tip now starting to live on the edge back there.
Tip being urged on here now to step up again. They haven't made that many changes that they would lose impetus, but Limerick have brought in 3 or 4 subs, and they seem to have brought a little bit of fresh legs as this ball goes in. The umpire is taking his time because he's going for the flag. Cueva Costa with another good score.
Yeah, and the shout of 10 minutes coming from Pat Ryan on the Limerick sideline, so he certainly feels this game is still there for Limerick if they want it.
7 points in it though. Maybe at the water break something magic happened in the water over there, but ball won over on that far side, and O'Dwyer trying to get onto it, but it's cut away from her, but it does work out. That ball broke off for Deborah Murphy, but lovely ball by Howard. Inside it goes. Opportunity here now for Corinne Blair. Blair going to have a shot. She's pulled it to the right and wide. She could have got a goal out of all that.
Yeah, I was watching Caught Devan on her left hand side as she peeled off her, and I think I heard the shout from Caught to stay coming, and I thought maybe that's where the pass was going to go, but Corinne option to go for the shot herself, and another poor enough wide for Tipperary, and as you said, they're now starting to mount up.
Some ball by Roisin Howard, wasn't it?
Absolutely unbelievable, yeah. Played it lovely, little through the eye of a needle in, rolled lovely along the ground for Corinne Blair to pick up on the run, and super ball. And Roisin Howard's had a big impact for Tip today. She's been on a lot of ball, and as you said, played a lot of clever ball around in that Tip full forward line or half forward line.
Nicole Walsh, I think, is the player over on the far side getting a little bit of attention, and it maybe won't do Tip any harm if they slow down this Limerick momentum a little bit, because as I said to you, just since Nicole Walsh put Tipperary 116-4 in front, it's been all Limerick either side of the water break. As this ball played long now, gets in behind Mary Ryan there, and back there helping out Mairead Eviston over the far side, and it goes to Nicole Walsh. Time to spread this ball diagonally in field. That's what she does. Ball might break, but it might suit Limerick. But Devan was in there trying to get a hurl on it, but it's picked up by centre forward Niamh Ryan, knocking this ball over to this side now, and it's Monalene's Megan O'Mara. Back it goes to Sophie O'Callaghan. As we said, got that goal in a point in space of a minute. Still going. Obviously, he was looking at Kyle Hayes last week, getting this ball forward. Number 21, that's in Orla Kelleher. Blocked down, but Kelleher gets back up and wins the ball, fires it across. Challenge is coming in now, thick and heavy. Justin Heffernan quite happy to let it continue here. Miriam Kramer was trying to advance in that ball. She's still trying to go without a hurley. Ball low, picked up by Howard, and then it's a definitely crash into the back there. And I'm not sure Roisin Howard is overly happy with Justin Heffernan, and she probably is entitled to be.
Yeah, you had to work hard to earn a free there on that occasion. It looked like to be a serious pull in from Caoimhe Costello, in fairness, onto Roisin Howard as she was coming out with that ball, and a couple of minutes of really intense play there, and a free could have gone either way, but certainly a free for Roisin Howard, and it did look to be a harsh enough pull in from Caoimhe Costello.
Absolutely, and she's also feeling the wrist there a little bit. Roisin Howard had to work very hard, and that got a bit of a dunt in the back as well, and to me was a yellow card in that, but anyway, play continues. Kramer is down getting a bit of attention on the laces.
She did super well, in fairness to her, to chase back that ball and track it down, no hurl in her hand, and managed to keep the ball in play and keep Limerick hopes alive in there in that particular ruck.
Just wondering, was Pat Ryan listening to us, that we felt that maybe if this game wasn't there to be won, that they had to narrow the scoring difference a little bit, because if it got away on them, it might become a bit more of a battle with Offaly next week. But they have narrowed, as we said, that gap. But here's the van now, maybe in an opportunity to settle Tip, if you could call it, nerves. They haven't scored since the 41st minute. We're now on the 56th as this ball dropped in by Devan. It's a dangerous enough ball, but watching it all the way was Laura O'Neill. She called it and sends it over to the far side, but it's a bit of a loose one. Pat is there to catch it himself on the 45.
To be fair to me, he's very active on the sideline, and the same that day in Burr, so he's urging the girls on. I'd say if he could have played that one, he probably would have himself.
That's a ball that was cleared. He might want that in his highlights reel, Dave. You might send it to him during the week. That's a good catch by Pat Ryan. As Tip now intrinsically worked this. Here's Eviston looking to double on this and send it in. Mairead Eviston with a shot from distance, but it's gone out to the right and wide. And those wides in the second half have mounted up.
They certainly have, from tipping a lot of them to that right hand side of the post, and it's certainly something that Bill Mullaney will have to look at with the girls during the week. They haven't added a score since the water break.
Well, we talked before the water break about how awesome Tip have been, and they've just gone back into the shell a little bit. Yeah,
they just haven't been as fluid, I suppose, up front as they have been. Now, credit Limerick, I think they've come with a greater intensity, maybe certainly in this last 15 minutes, but Tip haven't been as economical up front as they had been in that opening 15.
Well, if Devan wasn't fouled then, she was fouled definitely 3 or 4 times before that, and eventually was being allowed the advantage all right by Justin Heffernan. It's going to be a free on the 20-metre line that she'll get up and take herself. She was being tracked there by 2 Limerick players and eventually was fouled. they weren't going to let her in to get a goal opportunity, which you'd imagine a good chance of getting a point here. And their first score, as I said, since the 41st minute. Not long remaining. Cott, as we know, likes to use the top of the boss to just get the eye in and puts that ball, the umpire going for the flag, over the bar.
Yeah,
117 to 1-9.
Score Tip probably needed just to settle the nerves a little bit. It has been all Limerick since that water break there, so Tip probably looking to finish strong here now.
Well, Limerick have scored 1-5 since Tip's last score before that, so ball is knocked down to the far side. I think we've a Tip sub back there as well, do we? Looks like it's Sarah Delaney who's back there winning that ball now. Looking to play this ball forward, but Limerick have turned it over. Trying to get in there, Megan O'Mara. Ball is on the ground. Justin Heffron allowing the play to continue. And it's Tip that have it, breaking out. Looked like a foul on Roisin Howard, definitely. Roisin Howard is obviously causing all sorts of problems for Limerick in that they feel they have to deal with her in such a physical way.
Yeah, and she's been through the wars today, in fairness to her, but I think Limerick well aware of the overlap that was developing there, and the Tip players attacking at pace again, and Roisin Howard pulled down, but as you said, she has certainly been through the wars today.
Cottavan lining up this, and we'll get you to think about a player of the match, Elaine, as we come towards the end of this encounter in the All-Ireland Senior Camogie Championship Group 1 Round 2. Looks like it's going to settle the last of the groups that's to be sorted out. The van from distance up and over the bar from the 65 metre line. Cottavan resumes normality. Brings him to 118. Ball breaks out for Limerick. Might not going to win this game, but they definitely have made a bit more of a contest with it since the water break. Looking to get forward. The referee says Karen Kennedy was fouling Cueva Costello, and I'd imagine Costello's going to take this free. I'm thinking from a Limerick point of view, Laura Neal for that fantastic save has to be considered. Miriam Kramer, I would imagine Karen O'Leary is in your running, Rebecca DeLee, Sophie O'Callaghan. The two Cuevas probably do get honourable mentions from a Limerick point of view.
Yeah, certainly. I think Laura Neal probably being the standout performer. She'll be a little bit disappointed, I suppose, that she didn't, when she did get the hurl to the penalty, that she didn't get to stop it. But, I don't think there's too many in the country will stop Cottavan penalties. But overall, any saves that had to be made, she was brave, and, her puck outs were precise for Limerick, and I don't think she could be faulted for their defeat here today. Again, Marion Kramer moving up to centre forward, brought the game to Tipperary on occasions, and as he said, the two Cuevas and Sophie O'Callaghan up front probably desirable mentions.
118 to 110 it is now on the scoreboard as we clock into additional time. Trying to play it on Orlo Dwyer. Ball is lost though and won back eventually by Tip by Cottavan from a tight enough angle. Is she going to swing it up and over the bar? Yes, she does. Cottavan has got 3 on the bounce out from Tipperary, and she surely will be in the running for player of the match, along with the likes of Grace O'Brien who had a fine game, Roisin Howard, Clodagh McIntyre. Give credit as well to the likes of Emer Lockman at different stages, Aoife McGrath, Karen Kennedy.
Yeah, credit, and just on Cottavan's last score there, I suppose the mark of a great player is when Tip needed a leader there now in the last few minutes, she stepped up and knocked over a couple of frees and that wonderful point from play. And as you said, yeah, I think defensively at the back, Tip have been solid all day, huge defensive outfit there, and they work so well together. They're really confident, composed on the ball back there, and led by Maria Ryan from full back.
Ball is put over the bar by Niamh Ryan for a fine score from Limerick, bringing them now on to 111.
And up front, I suppose, for Tipperary, you could look at anyone maybe from number 8 all the way up. They all got on the scoreboard. I thought Arena Friday had a great game around the middle of the field, as did Grace O'Brien before she was withdrawn. Roisin Howard has been a real thorn in the side of the Limerick defence back there.
Bit of a clash there, 2 Tipperary players as that ball continues its run on. Going to be a shot from Clodagh McIntyre, unfortunately though, has just swung across to the left and wide. She is 2 points, the player from Lura. At 119 to 111 then, as we head into that injury time, it's Rebecca DeLee looking to get away from Miriam Campion. Or should say Mairead Evanston. Ball is knocked in towards Quiva Lyons. Lyons looking to come in along the line, but umpire says no, it's gone wide. And it's registered as a wide against Quiva Lyons there. So calling your player of the match in?
Yeah, I think for me, I think Grace O'Brien, before she was withdrawn, was just absolutely all over the field. She popped up left and right, got a point, got her name on the scoreboard, and I thought just caused all kind of trouble for Limerick out around the middle of the field. So for me today, Grace O'Brien was the player of the match.
So well done to Tipperary's number 15, who's our choice then as a player of the match here today. And we'll hopefully hear from Grace at the end of the game and from both managers as well. This game, as I said, become a bit more of a contest as Corinne Blair now looking to get forward, has another shot off. 3 shots she's had. She's finally got her third one, and fair play to her, I suppose. Persistence personified.
Absolutely, and under pressure from Limerick tracking back there, Deborah Murphy was right on her case the whole time, waiting for her to throw it up, and when she did, she still couldn't get the block in. So has worked hard, and as I said, look, that's an impressive front six from Limerick or from Tipperary. So Corinne looking maybe to put her hand up for Bill and the management team during the week.
122-111. This free going to be taken by Niamh Ryan. I'd imagine they're going to drop this one in. Sophie O'Callaghan, I see in already with the hand up. They're not thinking about a free here. They're thinking about dropping this in, no doubt. 63 minutes gone. This is probably the last opportunity. Niamh then, those pings it nicely. He's going to drop on the edge of the square. O'Callaghan got in there, but watching it all the way was Quiva Burke. Referee says that O'Callaghan was in the square before it, and it's going to be a free out for Tip. 120-111 then.
Yeah, yes. Super scoring from Tip up front. 120 is impressive, and when you think of the wides they had and maybe a couple of missed goal opportunities as well, it's certainly something they'll have to work on, but not bad to score 120 and still have room to improve. Orla
Dwyer looking to get away from Orla Keller and still going on the end of the hurl, looking to flick it inside. Here's a goal opportunity, batted up well, batted to the back of the net. And that's a lovely bit of play, lovely bit of skill by Orla Dwyer, but eventually taken and knocked to the back of the net. And it looks like that's the last bit of play then that we have. Emer Heffernan was it that came in there late and got that ball as far as we can see. Credit to her, the way she was able to pass from, credit Orla Dwyer to pick her out with the pass, but then the little bit of skill to be able to flick it up and bat it then. Yeah, lovely neat little finish, and runners again from Tip coming off the side as well, and just I suppose a little bit disappointing for Limerick having dominated a lot of that last 15 minutes that they did concede that goal, and similar to last weekend I suppose a last minute goal. Last minute goal indeed then given here from Tipperary, and it adds a bit of gloss now I suppose to the board, but I imagine if you're Bill Malani you wouldn't have been overly happy with the 5 or 6 minutes after the water break. No, certainly not. I suppose looked at half time they were 13 points, got the penalty shortly after half time, but only managed to tack on 3 points from there for the next couple of minutes and really played second fiddle to Limerick for a lot of that last 15 minutes, but in fairness they finished strong, and I suppose it's something that not a bad day's work to have scored 120 and still have areas that you want to work on and areas to improve on, and certainly some of their shot selection, some of their shots that they got off in the end, they did rack up a lot of wide, so it's something he'll have to work on for the coming week. But look, I think Tip are in a really good position going forward. Yeah, in a good position, so we probably can't be too hard on him. I'm sure Bill is happy though that he does have things to work on and kind of keep this group ticking along in some ways. Yeah, it's kind of the perfect result really for Bill, I suppose, in that they won well, won comfortably, and still have plenty to work on. They could have won comfortably and decided that was work done maybe, but the fact that they left Limerick back into the game coming near the end there, the fact that they conceded the goal and stuff, there will be stuff that they'll have to work on now for the coming week before they face Wexford next weekend, and then ultimately having either top the group or come second in it depending on that result to move forward to knockout championship. Let's give credit to Miriam Campion. I was just checking there, it was her that got the goal. She had come on as a substitute and was the one that doubled on that ball to put it to the back of the net. It's a 12-point win for Tipperary here today. I suppose from a Limerick point of view, not super on the scoring averages or anything like that, conceding that goal at the end, especially when they got so close at one stage. They now find themselves, you'd have to say, in the hunt against Wexford the last day without 3 of their players that here today. Now find themselves, taking on Offaly next week to, having to win that to avoid being pulled into that relegation. Yeah, and I suppose disappointing was that
they didn't really bring a performance today, maybe until that last 15 minutes. And when they did bring that, they were certainly able to trouble Trip at the back. You know, Rebecca DeLee really grew into the game. Sophie O'Callaghan put her hand up, caught a couple of good puck outs. And as I said, the two Cuevas inside in the corners certainly looked threatening, but they just didn't bring that at the start today. And they gave Tip maybe too much respect, or certainly too much of a head start. And I suppose when you're trying to chase down a game then with a team of the calibre of Tipperary, it's just too hard to do. But certainly they'll be buoyed by that last, maybe not the full 15 minutes from the second water break, but certainly the first 10 to 12 of it. You know, they really took the game to Tipperary, and it's just, I suppose, from a Pat Ryan's point of view and from a Limerick point of view, it's just disappointing that they didn't maybe start that way and ask questions of Tip earlier in the game.
No doubt about it. As Tip come in here to warm down, you can see Limerick over in their huddle there as they prepare, as they know for that game next week. Now, it's going to be vital for them, and it'll be important to keep ticking along at training during the week. We'll take a break here for the moment, so don't go too far away. We'll be hoping to hear from our player of the match, Grace O'Brien, from Bill Mullaney, and also from Pat Ryan. Rejoin us shortly. And the face you see on camera is Pat Ryan here in Nina. Pat, obviously a little bit dejected, no doubt. You know, either side of the water break, he started to come into that game and we're giving Tip a bit of a fight.
Yeah, look, you can't give them that lead, you just can't, and that's the problem when you play the good teams. If you give them that lead, it's very hard to fight back. But the girls themselves at half time, they took ownership and they fought brilliantly. Look, you have to be proud the way they fought. I think that last goal at the end didn't do them justice, but that's all you can ask for. Look, it's unfortunate what happened last week against Wexford. Now we have to beat Offaly to try and avoid relegation. It's just unfortunate the way the season's happening for us and that. But look, we just have to, we said Tuesday night regroup and get ready for next Saturday. That's it.
When, you know, I was kind of saying to Elaine on commentary that, you know, I was a bit worried that maybe even scoring difference things were going to get away from you a little bit, because the way Tip just seemed to be, you know, first to the ball, weren't really being challenged in some cases. Then all of a sudden water break happens and, you know, you took the game on, and I was just going, where was that Limerick team even 20 minutes ago? Yeah,
but that's it. Like, if they just throw off the shackles and believe in themselves, that's what they can do. They showed that against Kilkenny in the league earlier on. But like, and our subs now, to be fair, came on hungry, and for the first time we had 20 players really ready today. And look, you just can't give that lead we gave, and it's very hard. But our hurlers showed last week that they fought back, and I think that gave up the girls belief inside the dressing room at half time that it was possible. You know, so that's really it.
And I suppose that's what you're going to take now, Pat, from this as you go home and reflect on it and prepare for Tuesday night. I know you'll have a tough game now against Offaly next week, and when it comes down to cup games and stuff like that, it can take on a kind of a life of its own.
Yeah, look, I watched Offaly against Wexford yesterday. Did loads of the ball. Just unlucky for a few scores. Look, it's going to be tough. It's a dogfight, as you said. So we've just to bring the right attitude to it now next Saturday. You know, and try and get over the line and close the season off, you know. It's just the one or two results went against us this season, and that's hard to take. But look, what can you do? That's sport, you know.
And that's it. Well, Pat, thanks to your gracious come over and talking to us. Thanks, and he'll be Tuesday in training, he'll be getting things back up and running again. Have to, and no doubt about it, as prepare for the clash against Offaly next week. We're going to call in then our player of the match. She's on her home turf. Grace O'Brien coming in. Grace, thanks for joining us.
No bother.
A pitch you know so well, I would imagine. You definitely covered every blade of grass on it today.
Yeah, well, I suppose like Limerick in midfield, they were savage, like, so they were really like every moment of the game you had to be clicked on. So yeah, it was tough out in the heat, but we're just delighted to get the win, and you know, it's lovely to play here. I suppose it's stuff you dream of, really being able to play for your county in your home turf. So I'm delighted with the win and delighted to be able to play.
I think if that was a little bit of pressure coming in on you today, you got rid of it fairly quickly. But just I was seriously impressed by, you know, the style of hurling that you played, definitely in the opening half. You know, once you got to grips maybe around the middle, the spread of scores and everything like that was phenomenal.
Yeah, look, we're really enjoying our hurling at the moment. Like, we've kind of found a way of playing that really suits us, and you know, you always want to be given more and, you know, do more for the team. Like, it's a very positive environment to be in. So look, we're really enjoying it at the moment, but you see there we've a lot to work on. I think we left 2-5 probably out on the pitch today that we won't be happy about. So I suppose we'll look at that on Monday, go back to the drawing board and hopefully improve for Wexford, because we'll need to be better for that next week now.
Grace, you mentioned there about, you know, how good the team bond is and everything around it. That obviously has been important, definitely in recent weeks. You know, you've lost one or two players, and there's been one or two have maybe come back into the setup as well. But you still have that strength of unity. It doesn't seem to strengthen, it doesn't seem to weaken you in any way.
No, look, there's a huge, I suppose we have a great calibre of players in the team, and like that, you know, we lost Clodagh earlier on in the year, which was devastating, and obviously Sarah Friday's gone now. But look, we have a panel and we really focus. Bill has us really drummed into us that the panel is the most important thing, and you know, you've seen girls coming off the bench there, Lorna O'Dwyer, Sarah Delaney, like, they're savage, they fit straight in, and I suppose that's what we're working towards, to have subs that come in that boost, that don't drop the standard, they boost it when they come in, and we have that, you know, so we're just delighted with that.
Well, you've qualified now for the knockout stage. You still have a game against Wexford next week, and you know, they will keep you, let's say, with the heads down to knuckle on to ensure maybe that you might get a good enough draw for whatever comes then down the road.
Yeah, look, we're not looking any further than Wexford next week. I suppose we haven't really thought about Wexford, we're only talking about Limerick until now. So yeah, look, I suppose Tuesday when we get back to training, we'll start focusing on Wexford, and that's going to be a huge test, so we won't be thinking any further ahead of that.
Well, Grace, you're our player of the match. I think you'll hold up your head high around Nina for the next few days. Anyway, congratulations and thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Grace O'Brien giving us her views then on that victory here today for Tipperary as our player of the match. And we're going to bring in Bill Mullaney. And Bill, looking at that performance, I said it to Elaine coming up to the water break, you were awesome at times.
Yeah, probably accurate enough. We were awesome at times, but but we need to be consistent too. We played well. I thought we were putting it away. Then we, as usual, maybe is it a Tipperary thing? We let Limerick back into the match and give them the opportunities. We needed to be clinical, but I think we upped it again in the last 10 minutes and saw it out very well. But these are the ups and downs of it as well. You can't dominate a game for 60 minutes, especially a team like Limerick, and expect to own them for 60 minutes. So I thought we'd cope with their comeback, but at times, yeah, we were very good, and all over the field, forwards and backs.
I'm conscious of the weather as well, Bill. That probably has a factor because I'm sure lots of people going to the tank out there and probably were running dry.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing how it affects different players differently. That some can handle the heat and others can't, and they could all be as fit as each other. But just today, and the conditions is a bit like rain during the winter or something like that as well. Is how you handle the conditions. Some players can handle it very well. Some empty the tank earlier than others. But look, we have a good panel. We went to the panel, and even Grace O'Brien there, put her hand up and she said, "Look, I'm empty." So that's the maturity that she has to say, "Look, it's for the team. I'm coming off. Get somebody else on with fresher," because she was tired. She ran herself into the ground.
And if you don't mind me saying, it was probably her, losing her from the game a little bit that probably just swung things, I think, Limerick's way, because she had been so busy around the middle.
Yeah, I agree with you up to a point as well. Yeah, we lost a bit of shape there around while we were adjusting when she went off. But in the same period when she went off too, we had 8 wides and 9 scores. So we missed the goal. We were hitting them all wide on the right hand side. If you look at it that way, we just weren't clinical enough. But we were creating scoring chances. That's like 17 scoring chances there. So we were winning, but not putting it away is probably the best description of it. But look, happy out. We needed to win 2 games. We have 2 games won, and that's what it's about, is getting through the group. It's never going to be easy. It's never going to be straightforward. 60 minutes in every game is anything can happen. You know yourself. And look, we have another tough game against Wexford next week. There's nothing between, as I said before, anybody in this group. And while the score might say it, they're tough physical conditions and they're tough physical games, and you have to be at your best to win them.
And of course a Wexford team that are buoyant in recent months on an upward curve in lots of ways, Bill, so you won't be taking them anywhere for granted. Yeah, but you look at the history of Wexford. They have an awful lot of experience of drawing as well. All-Ireland champions numerous times, and going well, as you say, on an upward curve. They probably should have been Division 1 in the league, and that would have given them a higher expectation maybe. They've won their 2 games. They've won their 2 games by nearly as much as we have. So look, next Sunday is going to be tough. There's nothing to be taken for granted. Both of us want to top the group and get a chance to go straight into a semi-final, and try and go the direct route, So I don't expect anything easy from Wexford next week. So we have to get back, knuckle down on Tuesday, Thursday again this week, and try and get ready, And you have a few names that have put their hand up in maybe getting a place and a start over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, you wouldn't realise it, and it's hard. I often hear it in matches that it's hard to keep a panel happy. It is hard to keep a panel happy when everybody's playing so well. There's split hair decisions there between starters and finishers on the field. You see Corinne Blair coming on there, Miriam Campion coming on, and that's not just this week, like last week as well. Every player that comes on there is killing themselves to get a start, and when they come on, they keep their hand up. And it's very hard for us to keep overlooking them at the same time. So it's a good position to be in. It's a great position to be in, and that's how good they are, and that's the mark of their standard, their capability, and their expectation.
Well, Bill, thanks indeed as always, gentlemen, for joining us. Best of luck with training in the next week.
All right, thanks very much, Killian.
Bill Mullaney then giving us his views and opinions on the encounter here today. I'm just going to grab this microphone for Elaine, and we'll have a quick chat about that encounter. Elaine, Bill, as he mentioned, are fairly pragmatic about things, but obviously then realises they did play well on occasion, there's no doubt.
Yeah, I think he's happy enough with the performance. As I said in commentary, he's got the win here today. They've scored 220, and there's still a couple of areas that they need to work on, but look, it's every manager's dream. Played well, won, still areas to improve on, and subs coming on that had a big impact. So, I think there's plenty to look forward for Tip going forward next weekend.
We did mention though on occasion that and he mentioned there as well that I alluded to that Grace O'Brien was a bit of a loss when she went off, but he still said that they had chances that he'd be disappointed that they didn't take.
Yeah, I think when they look back on it, certainly in that second half, I think it was 8 wides they had up on that end. So, a lot of poor shot selection maybe and stuff like that, things to work on during the week. And similarly in the first half, I think when they look back, there'll be a couple of goal opportunities that they'll be sorry they didn't take, and would maybe have had Limerick out. They would have been out of sight from Limerick, and certainly against the likes of the Corks, the Kilkennys and the Galways of this world, they need to take those chances. So look, plenty to work on in training during the week, but look, qualified for knockout stages, which was the aim of coming here today, I'm sure.
And still, though, probably playing a brand of hurling a little bit different to last year in some ways. And, the thing is as well that some players and certain players have stood up since between the league and the championship, that they might be able to introduce something different ultimately when they meet the Kilkenny, Corks or Galways.
Yeah, I thought their hurling was really impressive here today, and well able to play it shorter on the middle, some lovely stick passes and working really, really hard off one another's shoulders and stuff. And the player going forward always had support players, and even the out ball from the back, like every time Mary Ryan had the ball, it was a clever out ball, be it to her half back line or out to a midfielder. And I suppose that's part of Grace O'Brien's role out around the middle of the field, is she does cover that ground, and she's an option at all stages, either from someone coming out from the defence or from someone looking to recycle the ball from that front six. She's always an out player there, and her energy around the middle of the field was carried forward into the forwards. And they are a busy 6 forwards up there, and all got on the scoreboard today and all took good scores when they got their chances. But not only that, is they were all involved in play at different occasions and were options for the player that was going forward. So a lot to be thankful for, I suppose, in Tibber. A lot of things going well there at the moment.
A word for Limerick, you'd feel for Pat Ryan.
Absolutely, yeah, you're hard to break from, to be fair, because and I think he put his finger on it. He said, it's a huge belief thing with them, and like when they came out from that second water break, whatever he said to them, and I'm sure if he shows half the passion as he shows on the sideline in those water breaks, you can see why they wanted to do it for him. But you just feel if they could have brought that from the word go, they really would have put themselves in the mix for a lot longer here today. And they'll have to get huge belief now. And I thought that day coming out from Burr, that when I'd seen them putting that up to Kilkenny, putting up the scoreline they did, and the work rate that they did, I said, this Limerick team have really arrived. But unfortunately for them, it's kind of been a little bit of a downward spiral since then, and a heavy defeat in Munster to Cork, and then that last minute goal last week really, I'd say, knocked the stuffing out of them. And you just feel that maybe if the games had been reversed a little bit and they could have got one win under their belt, that maybe that would have helped them bring a bit of confidence into maybe something like the Tip game and then ultimately into the Wexford game. But as it is, a huge week now for him to try and pick those players up again, I suppose, before a huge battle with Offaly next weekend.
Yeah, because now it's a cup final as such, and we know, as I said to Pat, they can take on a life of their own in some ways.
Absolutely, and look, Offaly are a seasons team. They're at senior level for a long number of years, and they're well established up there. It's going to be hard to beat a senior team like that, and they will need to bring huge belief. But look, I think if they do anything during the week, if they look back at that first 10 minutes after that second water break there today and show what they are capable of, certainly when they hurled in those patches, they were able to match Tip there, but they just didn't do it, I suppose, for long enough today, and they certainly didn't bring it from the word go.
Right, so let's have a look at the tables then, because we have an unusual situation, I suppose, in a way, Elaine, that we have the top 2 and the bottom 2 all sorted out. There's no going to be any change between the matches next week, because the top 2 in each group play each other next week and the bottom 2 play each other next week. Tip top in their group 1 then, with the 6 points plus 29 average as well. That's the best of all the teams across the board. So I know people will say the quality of opposition or whatever from them, but fair score taking 5.43. It's just matched by Galway with 5.28.
Yeah, good scoring, and you could see that from Tip today. The spread of scores, they put 220 on the board. They're well capable of throwing over scores, and when you have a player the calibre of Caught Devan, like chipping in with, I think it was 1-8 there today, she's going to score a goal and a couple of points every day. And then you have forwards of the calibre of the Grace O'Briens, the Clodagh McIntyres, the Orla Dewars, who can pop up as well. So yeah, Tip certainly capable of putting up big scores. Probably a little bit disappointed maybe to concede a little bit to Limerick coming near the end there, that won't keep it in a more positive. But look, they're qualified, they won't care too much about scoring average.
And they take on a Wexford side that have notched up 6 goals, and they have conceded a heavy point enough as salary. They only have got a +3 scoring difference, but a Wexford team that's maybe we're minutes away from last week losing to Limerick. It's amazing how it just can flip, and look at them now qualifying into the knockout stage.
Yeah, I suppose that's sport, and that's hurling and camogie, and that's why we love it. I suppose they're the small margins, but yeah, Wexford certainly seem to be able to get the goals this year, and it's been goals that have carried them through. They shot a couple yesterday as well, so that's something obviously Bill will want to work on for next week, maybe keeping an eye on the goal scoring rate of Wexford. But certainly teams that will meet Wexford will be aware of that goal scoring threat. They do seem to be leaking a couple of points and stuff at the back, and are conceding kind of slightly higher point scores, so maybe something for Wexford to keep an eye on themselves.
Right, so that's Wexford and Tipperary next week then to basically just decide who is top of the table, and of course Limerick and Offaly deciding who will end up in the relegation. Remember, the 3 bottom teams in each group will go into a draw. One is safe and then the other 2 play off. It's something similar with the top of the table. The 3 group winners go into a draw, 2 straight into the semi-finals, and 1 ends up in the quarter-finals with the 3 runners up from the groups. Quickly, let's have a quick word about the other 2 groups. Cork and Waterford playing next week. Very similar. Plus 19, plus 15, but you still would expect Cork to come out on top in that battle.
Yeah, I suppose results went maybe according to plan for Cork so far in the league. Waterford with 2 huge wins, down last weekend was obviously a massive confidence boost for them, and then went to Dublin yesterday and really put Dublin to the sword. So, Waterford coming with good momentum behind them. I suppose they won't fear Cork. They never really fear Cork when they go to play them, but Cork would still be favourites to obviously top the group there.
Yeah, and of course down in Dublin then in a bit of, as you said, a relegation kind of game, to a preliminary one we call it. Looking at Down and how they got within touching distance of Cork yesterday. You look at maybe the way things have been for Dublin. Maybe this is a game that Dublin have targeted all along, but you'd fancy Down should be able to take that one. Yeah,
I think they probably should. Now, in saying that, I probably would have tipped Down maybe at the start of the year to maybe sneak out into second place into that group and see it out. And I suppose the little defeat in Waterford last weekend certainly didn't do them many favours, and then having Cork at home yesterday, they managed to, as you said, narrow the gap but just didn't quite get there. But look, I think it's a huge game for Down and for Dublin obviously, but certainly for Down I think to keep in the senior ranks and to stay, to at least get a win in their first year in senior championship, I think would be massive for them.
Let's look into Group 3. Won't mention the top of the table clash just yet. Clare and Westmeath. Probably when you look at the Westmeath performance against Kilkenny the last day, they'll be buoyed a little bit then going into that Clare game, who are a little bit like Limerick, just how things have turned for them in recent weeks.
I suppose Clare will be disappointed, probably feel they could have got a result against Kilkenny on the first day, probably feel leaving Athenry yesterday that they could have got something more from the game, maybe a little bit further out from a result, but certainly that they could have got something more from it. So they're coming in on the back of 2 defeats, and probably 2 kind of downing defeats, whereas on the other hand I know Westmeath have had their 2 defeats as well, but probably a better performance yesterday against the All-Ireland champions Kilkenny. And I think if I was Westmeath, there certainly would be a bit of a pep in my step going back to training during the week now, knowing that you've competed with Kilkenny for maybe 45 minutes yesterday, and you face a huge battle now next weekend against Clare to keep your senior hopes alive.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. And of course a game then that we're featuring next Saturday, Galway against Kilkenny. What kind of chess game is that going to turn out to be?
I was going to say, I hope you're not going to ask me to predict what's going to happen next weekend, because I wouldn't dare. Look, they're the 2 teams that have been the top of it. Normally we're previewing them and it's a league final or an All-Ireland final the last couple of years. So look, it is going to be a big game. I suppose there's no real benefit to either of them topping the group, given that one of them will end up in a quarter final perhaps anyway. So, there mightn't be a huge incentive, but I don't know, I think Galway probably need to just get maybe a psychological win over Kilkenny. Kilkenny have had the better of them in the last couple of games, in the last couple of important games obviously. Kilkenny maybe not going as well as they would hope as All-Ireland champions, but look, they stuttered and stammered through the league as well and managed to come out of it with a league title. So, from their point of view, maybe they'd like to put in a performance. They certainly didn't seem to put in a 60-minute one yesterday against Westmeath. So I suppose from Brian Dowling's point of view, they'd like to go into knockout championship knowing that they've put in a good, decent 60-minute performance, and who better to put it in against, I suppose, than Galway next weekend. So it would be a huge test for both of them, and it's a good game to get ahead of knockout championship then.
Right, well I won't ask you to call it just now. We'll give you the week to think about it as we prepare for that. So that game will be our feature next Saturday afternoon, and I believe it's Nolan Park, so we look forward to that.
Super, I hope the sunshine hangs around for another week.
Hopefully so. Well, with my thanks to Elaine, to Shane, Emma and David in the background, bringing you the action here from McDonagh Park in Nina. Hopefully you enjoyed it, but Tip of course confirming their place at the top of Group 1 for this week anyway, with that 220 to 111 victory over Limerick here this afternoon. Limerick of course now facing into that prelim relegation with Offaly next weekend. With, as I said, thanks to all the crew here again. I've been Killian Whelan. Hopefully you've enjoyed the clash, and we'll talk to you next weekend. Good luck to you.